Commissioners meeting on May 8th. Would you join me in the pledge, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It is warm in here. Take my jacket off.
I was going to say I dressed because they said it was going to be cool.
I know, that's why I got a long sleeve t-shirt.
Well, let's
Now you
see.
guys can all take up a
No, I totally forgot about it.
paper race.
Sorry, no.
Ditto,
Oh, I
ditto.
can have some fun today because we're not on camera.
Well, we have the County Delegation here, so.
Oh, but Damon and I have reached a
Uh-oh.
compromise, right?
A compromise?
Yeah.
You didn't know about it,
Nah,
did you know, David?
Yes, he did.
Okay,
Oh, you gotta write about that in the story.
He's
Yeah.
blushing.
yeah. Okay, I'll leave a motion on the May 1st minutes.
I'll make them, but I got a correction.
Okay, we make the motion, then we'll do corrections, okay?
Make the motion.
Okay, you want a second?
I will second.
All right, are there any additions or corrections? David?
Yes. On the others present, wasn't there some guy from Concord that was here and stayed for a while and left?
Is he looking for you, David?
Huh?
I said, was he looking for you? Did he have a...
I see how this day's gonna go.
I'm sorry.
Well, not only that, but wasn't, the man from Wakefield here also?
Steve Brown. yeah.
Steve
Boston
Brown.
Brown. He's here.
Some guy from Wakefield too. That'd be Steve Brown.
Any other additions or corrections? You don't know who the man from the state was?
Yeah, Cordelli. Did you read your email?
He wasn't here last week, was he?
Huh?
Fidel, was he here last week?
Yeah, he was here and left.
Oh, that's the one from Concord?
Yeah,
Some guy.
some guy.
That's why I asked too. Okay, so the additions of Steve Brown and Glenn Cordelli were also others present. Any other additions or corrections? All those in favor of the minute?
Madam Chairman?
Yes.
I'd like the minutes to show that I asked that I made the point that some guy was here. Quote, some guy.
All right, David, do you have to be nasty?
No, but I
You
think.
knew it was
Now, wait a
Glenn.
minute, Madam Chairman.
You knew it was
We-
Glenn?
Okay, did you read his email?
Yes.
What did it say?
What does that have to do with the minutes?
Because when we hire a young person, and he comes in here and he does a great job, and Cordelli writes an email and says, we hired some guy over at, what an insult.
I suggest you take that up with Mr. Cordelli.
No, I took it up right here, I'm all set. I'd like it to show some guy. Just so Mr. Cordelli, when he sees the minutes, will know we were talking about it.
So you would like Seth's name added to the list of those present? Was Seth wasn't here at the beginning, was he?
Seth wasn't here at all.
That was the week before.
Yes.
Yes. Are there any other additions or corrections to the minutes? All those in favor as written and corrected say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Did you-
Aye.
Oh my gosh. It's already the 8th.
I know.
There you go, Mimi.
There you go.
Here you go. Are there any immediate questions?
Not at the moment.
Is there any public input? The check manifest for the week ending 4/19/2019 was $617,998.78. Okay, the next on the work session is the hiring policy.
I didn't make copies because, remember, we were working off our old ones.
Yep.
So I corrected what you wanted me to correct, and there it is.
And of
First signature.
First week, I don't bring anything, because so Ken will have it. I've been not quite with it the last couple of days.
Madam Chairman?
Yes, David.
Ken, is there some way we can, I didn't bring mine in either, and I've got it, I could go in and get it right now. Is there some way that we can, when you send out the agenda, put on there the word papers that we had from the week before?
We decided to have a binder and bring the binder every week. Because the new stuff will be on, but we know we're working on a hiring policy for 2 months or longer.
Right.
Yeah, it's my fault. I apologize, it was my fault, I didn't bring it.
It's my fault too.
That's right, I know, you're down right, it's your fault.
And I always bring tons of stuff.
Would you like to read what you
Yeah,
changed
yeah.
to it?
I don't have my, I changed what you told me. I threw all the stuff away, I got so much stuff downstairs. So
Okay, what was added
So we added the
is-
3 days in public view concurrently with a minimum of 3 days in the public view. And then we added, it's currently the preferred advertising method, so we put currently here, concurrently there, and that was all the changes.
This whole sentence.
Right, yeah.
The last sentence, the purpose is to allow current employees an opportunity to view upcoming. That was what was.
Right, well, that's there, but we added a couple of words which made it longer. Other than that, that was it.
So, and we took out the line that said a promotion is not
Yeah,
considered a
right,
new
yeah.
position.
Yeah.
And what else happened? Wasn't there
I can run back downstairs and get your copy that you gave me. But
right. We decided not to put in there that they would, if the pay was less, that's what they would get.
yeah, no, we had talked about it, but that would be in there.
Now, you don't put in here what the probationary period is or what the money after the probationary period will be.
No, because it could be different for, for like anyone. Like the jail has a 1-year probation. We have a 3-month probation. The nursing home, some have, different probation. It's all what's written into the contract.
What is it in the nursing home, do you know?
I don't know. I believe it's 3 months.
Is that the same for deeds and the attorney and the sheriff?
I don't get involved in there.
I think that's pretty general. The sheriff might be longer, but
Yeah, because I know the jail's a year.
And then what's the percentage for the increase?
There's never been an established percentage for increase.
What is it for the finance office?
It all depends on what the delegation votes on. And what the department head, recommends, I guess. We never had really a standard for, hiring and then after probation. And it's only 50 cents, but.
Okay. I was just wondering how that should fit into, there should be a policy on that, I think, so that people getting hired would know that in 3 months or in a year. Because I'm sure Jason must be able to tell them that in 1 year your rate will be.
He's got steps built in,
Right.
so those are automatic step increases. And I think we did that at the sheriff's department too. Do you remember, sir? In negotiations, I mean, you were only there for like 1 or 2 meetings, but.
Only there for 1 meeting.
Yeah.
But that's in the contract. What about the nurse's contract?
The nurse's contract, which ones are you referring to? RNs, LPNs?
The ones that, no, there's only one contract with the nursing home,
Right,
one union contract.
right.
So what is,
3 months.
it's 3 months, so what's their step increase?
There are no step increases.
No steps. Okay. Well, how can you two vote on it if you don't have copies of it?
Because I've read mine. And I helped Kenny change the,
And I sent it out, the other day.
Sent it out, yeah, I read, yeah.
Okay, all in favor of the changes to the hiring policy as of May 8th? I made a motion to accept it.
so,
Okay.
Who made the motion?
I guess I made the motion, David seconded it. Are there any more discussion about the hiring policy? Okay. Ken, I would ask that on the page where we sign, if we should have a review date set up so that you'll know.
We have a review, right, in the binder, we have a review date in the policy binder. So we're not gonna review this year,
Right.
but next year, there's dates in there when we review them.
Can we get a copy of that policy binder upstairs for the commissioner's office?
Yeah.
The
Oh, sure,
policies?
yeah.
Because I can't remember that far back.
Yeah. And it only starts in June and we go through August, I think, last year.
You've got a regular schedule.
Mhm.
So if you could put that on this too, I think it would help anyone looking at it and they go, oh yeah, they're gonna review that.
And maybe we can have a policy after hire. What happens, you know what I mean, as far as the step increases or the probationary periods or.
Yeah, the step increases, because I've always had one. When I worked, we always had step increases. You knew what was going. And then when they gave a raise, they showed the step increase raise.
And we tried that again in 15, but the delegate took it out, so. But I think that would be important, which I'm gonna add to the budget for 2020 is a wage assessment study. The one that Matrix recommended. Again, we'll try that again.
Yeah, that's the second
See what
time.
happens, yeah.
Recommended that. Okay, next, non-union sick time buyback policy.
Yeah, and another thing in there, they requested, that we have a sick time buyback policy.
Is this a brand new one?
Yeah, I just started it. Pretty much kind of what we do now. But now it's, now it's on paper.
Okay, I didn't get this on my email.
Did you get it?
I believe so.
Did you get it, Richard?
I get
Because I sent it.
4 or 5, I don't remember whether it came, read it yesterday.
Yep. I sent two separate emails.
Oh, I only got one, had 5 things on it with the agenda.
Yep, and then I sent another one that had that and the letter for the jail grant. Because I'm still working on this, but I thought, well, those are all done, so I'll send them out to you.
Okay. I didn't get that, but that doesn't mean, I've been really kind of busy. Okay, you want to give us the highlights?
Sure.
In here?
So, because we don't have any short-term disability here, we've always relied on sick time to allow employees, to, if they have some medical conditions, to be able to get things taken care of health-wise and still receive a paycheck. And then over the years, people have bought back time in the nursing home and in the jail. It's written into the contracts at the nursing home. I'm not sure about the jail. It's written in the jail too. So 280 hours is about 7 weeks. And anything over that, the county would buy back at the end of the year. Now, we all get 8 hours a month, which comes out to 96 hours a year, which is, I think it's a little over a week of pay. And why we're doing that is because when an employee leaves, they can sell back up to 96 hours anyways.
Okay, so that's a little different. That's in the contracts?
No, that's in the handbook. Non-union people can buy back up to 96 hours if they give a 2-week notice and if they have it on the books.
But it is a limit of 96 hours.
Yes. Well, sorry, anything over 280, so I gotta review that one more time.
Oh,
Um,
okay, well, wait a minute.
Well,
So
I'm
if you
getting-
have 280,
Yep,
you shouldn't have 96 hours over 280.
yeah, you do. If you get, by the end of the year, you'll have 96 hours. So then we buy that back and start all over. So every year you'll have 90, if you don't use it. If you don't use it.
Right, but I'm saying, you just said that if somebody leaves.
Yeah,
They only can buy back 96 hours.
up to 96 hours, right.
What about the 280 that they've approved?
That's gone. That's gone.
So it's
I mean,
just,
we're not buying back 280 hours. Now, if we had short-term disability, we would only give employees, these 8 days of sick time. When I got here, this was already established, so I'm just going with what we had and what I've seen over the past 4 years.
okay, so if a person retires and they've accrued 280 hours, they get nothing.
Well, they can buy back up to 96 hours.
Right, but I mean, if on the day they retire, they have no time except the 280 hours, then they get nothing.
Well, there's something in the contract that they can buy back it at 50%.
The 280. I thought I read that someplace, I don't
See, I'm
know.
not sure if it's 280 or, I'm not sure, I gotta review that. I'm not expecting you guys to sign this today,
Right,
but I'm just trying to establish, and this is for non-contract employees. We can't change the contract.
I thought though that the Department of Labor told you something about if we did it for contract employees, we had to do it for non-contract employees, is
No.
that true?
That's not what I said.
Okay,
I said if we do it for one person, we have to treat everyone the same. So, but contracts are different. So in the past, non-union employees at the nursing home have bought back sick time. Before I got here, they had been doing that for years and years. I don't know how it was applied or what was done, but when we looked in the manual, in the employee manual,
yeah,
that it said that employees leaving the county can sell back up to 96 hours of sick time. So that's the basis that we've been doing at it, and we talked about this last year, you know, because we don't want to, because if they lose it, they're gonna use it, because they have it.
Right.
So,
So I think probably what we should do is each look at this and then come up with any additions or suggestions or whatever.
well, and we should look at the handbook too, because, you
And
know,
the contracts.
we can't change a contract.
Well, no, but we should look at them for maybe a guide of some sort.
I guess, because, I mean, you know, we have to treat employees the same, so,
So we have 3 contracts, right? We have the sheriff's contract, we have the House of Corrections contract,
and the nursing.
and the nursing home.
Now,
David, do you have all 3 of those contracts?
I have at least one.
Do you have any, Terry?
No.
I have the jail one.
Could you make sure that each of us get one of all 3 of those? And then,
now, I know the sheriff's is different because they buy back their holidays too, at the end of the year.
well, I think that's different than the sick time.
Well, I'm just letting you know.
Yeah.
But it's all rolled into one, so, the jails is, what's the jails, just off the top of your head?
For
Sick time buyback.
sick time buyback, anything over 320,
320.
anything over 320 on the union contract at the end of the year.
And what do they, when they leave? You have to have 5 years or 10 years?
For sick time, you need to be here 5 years and leave with obviously your 2 weeks notice, like any other place, in good terms. And then for a vacation, it says you have to be there, work there for 10 years before you get your vacation buyback, which is way outside the norms of the contract, but that's what it says in there.
Well, I think we got homework for the week,
Well, we're not meeting next week, so you got 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
I have a question. I'm still confused with people that are on salary who can buy back sick
There's
days.
no one on salary here. We all use sick time, we all get the same amount of sick time, and we use sick time if we're out. We don't get free days, or we don't get free hours or anything,
Then what's the purpose of having people on salary?
because we don't have to pay them overtime.
Yep.
I don't understand that. I have to, really.
I mean, if you want, I'll do that.
I just, no, I couldn't find, because I had asked for a policy on this, and I couldn't find one anywhere. But I did find the holiday policy and the vacation policy. And if they're getting 12 sick days a year,
Mm-hmm,
they're getting 10 holidays a year,
Mhm.
and they're getting 2 personal days a year.
mm-hmm,
So that's 24 days a year
Mhm.
of extra pay.
mm-hmm.
And I may be old-fashioned, but I mean, that's a lot. So I
That's
just.
government.
Well, I know, and that's why government workers, get a bad name. I just think that's a lot in a year, 24 days a year.
You're never gonna get it out, especially out of
Well,
contract.
I think what we can do is we'll work on the sick day thing, and we'll, the buyback and the sick day policy. We have a sick day policy.
Yep.
So if, maybe we could look at those 2 together and then move on and do the other 2.
And I just want to read these, I haven't had a chance to read these, I just got them, to see if, when someone leaves, they can buy back their sick day, they can buy back their holidays. And
Is that the contract, or is that the?
that's your
Okay.
your holiday policy, and they can buy back all that. And I think there should be a limit,
Well, what we can do
or
is
they buy back at half, or something, that's what I've seen in some other places, separate from counties, but I'd like to find out.
But I mean, if you're on salary, you don't work those days anyway, so you're not selling them back, because you don't work those days.
Well, what I would suggest is we're doing the sick sick policy. And then on the next agenda, which will be in 2 weeks, you might add the vacation policy to review, because it's been a while. Was it which one did we just finish reviewing? Was it vacation or,
We didn't review any of those.
oh, it was part of the contract that they lost their birthdays as part
Yes.
of the contract?
Yep.
Okay. So, but we put those 2 policies that she's talking about on the next 2 agendas to start the
Okay.
review. And that way, it'll take 3 weeks, but
Okay,
we'll.
that's fine. I mean, I just want to understand it all, because I just think that's,
Well, it'll probably take more than 3 weeks.
Yeah.
We're gonna
With
do
us.
all
Well,
of
to
it.
start them, but I mean, we can get the background information that goes with it. Next is the jail audit, which was done in 2010, Jason?
Yep. Ma'am? Yes.
Okay. And what are the highlights from this you would like us to be aware of?
Did you guys get a chance to go through it?
We went through it, yes.
What?
We went through it. He asked if we had a chance to look at it.
Oh, yes. You gave it to us 2 weeks ago.
So the Major and I, Lieutenant, went through this, and we can go through some highlights and still some deficiencies. In 2010 audit. Again, this was done after there was an escape, so they came and looked over at the facility. Going page by page, or just kind of tell you some highlights.
Well, what are your highlights? Yeah,
Sure.
go through page by page if you want.
So,
Only about 50 of them.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'll try to go through quickly. Page 7 basically talks about blind spots with cameras. There has been some upgrades to cameras. We still have plenty of blind spots, and that's why we have some more money in the budget to try to improve on that. And we put in for the PREA grant to also help with that.
The tree is going to help with the cameras?
It's part, we put money in there to try to get some more cameras in there. It's part of that grant, so.
Yeah, because to be pre-certified, you can't have any blind spots.
Yeah, we have blind spots. It said, a good positive note, same page, facility does not utilize a live scan system, which is your electronic fingerprints. We do use that now, so that has been an update since this was done. Bottom of that page 7, the yards are not covered and easily accessible by outside intruders. That is still exactly the same. The yards are not covered. You can, well, no, people can throw stuff over the top.
The cameras are out there?
We have cameras, but the rec yards are not covered over the top.
Oh, yep, I got you. But I was going to say, you knew right away when the people were out there with the horses.
Yep, we have cameras around the building, yes. Page 8 talks about recordings. We have, that has been updated. We do have a lot more ability to record cameras. Positive stuff.
How long do you keep those?
We keep those. Depends. I mean, they're only on the system for a couple of weeks before they get over again. But if there's an incident that happens, they get downloaded and saved forever. With that being said, I'm working with John, Rich, and there is some possibility of doing some more backup to even hold it longer at a pretty cheap cost.
Currently, we can only go back 11 days.
The goal is to go back further, and with some backup, we should be able to. Talk about ergonomics in the control room with the viewing system with way up top. You have to lift your neck up. That has kind of been fixed, put in a better angle for the cameras. Things that changed here. At the time, the jail was under nurse practitioner. It's now under a doctor's. They talked about programs here, which were good things, but I just added that we've greatly increased programs. Bottom page talks about classifications on page 8. For women prisoners, there's only one housing unit, therefore no separate classification options. We've moved some things around. We have 2 units now for females, so we have a little more classification capabilities.
What are those now? What are the 2 classifications?
no, 2 units. Same classifications, you still have minimum, medium, max, and
But
segregated.
they're all mixed together.
They were. We have 2 units now, we can make some changes if we need to, so.
Pre-trial and sentence are separate now.
No, programs. Program people are separate from the other units.
Right. They're also separate.
They need to set some programs, right?
So pretrial and sentenced people are in the same room in the women's part.
They can be, but what we've done is separate, you have a total separate unit, you have to be sentenced in programs for a separate unit. So it's given us more options to have more space for classifications and programs, which there wasn't back then. Also, page 9, at that time, there was no current policies and procedures. There is, the superintendent at that time did do policies and procedures, and we're continuously updating those. Ed Riley, who's working with us, is actually working on a lot of updating policies. I apologize in advance that you will be getting bombarded at some point this year with a lot of policy changes. Talk about post orders. At the time, didn't have any. There are post orders now. One of the big ones here, it's still a problem on bottom 9. The facility was found to lack perimeter security. Direct access to imminent security windows and recreation yards is easily accomplished. The lack of minimal security presents a security threat to staff, the community, and the population. There still is no security. There is no perimeter fencing. Positive note, the recreation yards found to have insufficient razor wire. That was fixed with extra Constantine wire.
Does that go up on the roof too? I know I was looking, we were over there the other day.
No.
No.
No. So they can still climb up a wall and get on the roof without getting into razor wire?
There's really no access to.
No, there's no roof access. If they were to try to climb a wall to go over, they would get.
Yeah, razor wire, 'cause that's in the rec yard. There's razor wire there. That's where they got out, was a rec yard. There was an object they could get on top of to get out over the roof. That object's been moved and a bunch of razor wires been put there, so you can't get up that way. Or, I say can't, and you
Yeah.
can add. Page 10 talks about staffing analysis. This was not, they did not do a staffing analysis with this, but they did have questions of whether staffing levels could adequately respond to an inmate disturbance or emergency such as a fire. We run real lean, and currently right now the lieutenant is working with a couple other counties and we're doing a true staffing analysis. So we hope to have that for you this year as well too.
And that'll be a little different because we have the 4 pods, right? From other jails.
What?
Don't we have you have different pods, right?
Same pods, same units.
All jails have the same units, the same pods, is that what we do?
No. This was specific to our jail.
I know, but you said you were going to deal with others from other jails, and I was.
Oh, no,
I
staffing,
was-
just for staffing analysis. There's
And I
a
was
whole
gonna
formula.
say it's gonna be a little different because our setup is
The
different.
larger jails have more pods than we do.
Yeah, and that's all part of staffing analysis. You have to take into effect programs, classifications, your jail structure.
But if we didn't have the pods, it would change the amount of staff we would need.
Our structure, the way it's set up, changes our staffing level numbers compared to a different jail.
That's
Yes.
what, that's
Yes.
the point.
But there's still a formula to use to be able to do that specific to your facility. But it's lengthy and takes work, so he's just getting some guidance from other facilities who have already gone through this process.
When do you expect that done?
He's working on it now. It's gonna take him a couple of months. At this time here, they recommend an ergonomic analysis of the control room. That was never done. Talk about inmate movement, limited facility, that was done. Because at the time didn't have video arraignments, we now have video arraignments. We still don't have video visitation.
Excuse me, Jason? Primex does an ergonomical assessment. Maybe we should just call them up to come up and do.
Yeah, as we're going through.
Or is this different?
Nope, as we're going through this, we just started to identify things that were just
Oh,
never
okay.
done back then, and yes, they do it, it's just when it's done, I'll have to present over here. I'm sure it's gonna be a cost factor when they do it.
Who does it?
Primex.
Primex doesn't.
They did it down for where I was at before, for our control room down there, come back with recommendations. At the time here, our staff was not armed when on transports, and it talked about they really should be vests, weapons, in case of escape, protect life. All that has changed. We now have a transport team. They are armed. They do have bulletproof vests.
When do you use this transport team?
Almost daily.
Who's on, how big a team? What's the team look like?
On that team's probably 8 or 9 people that are certified.
Oh, but you don't send all 8 or 9?
No.
to transport.
Transport usually is just one person taking to the hospital or dental appointments, and other appointments they have outside the facility. Unless there are 2 officers. If there are 2 officers, then there might be 2 people on the transport, but normally it's just 1 officer with the offender.
Everything other than the court visits, we do the transport.
That's what I would do.
Yes. For the courts.
The bailiffs do the court transports?
Sheriff's Department does. And I went back into classifications, which we've kind of fixed a little bit. So it goes to recommendations of the consultant on page 11. Recommended core jail standards was done and has been. Post orders, number 2, has been done.
Do they know what post orders are? Maybe you could explain it.
Sure. Post orders are basically, so we go on a unit, it will tell you what you're supposed to be doing. What you're in charge of, how it works, how it operates. So if you come onto a new post or position, you can go look, okay, I'm supposed to be in charge of MedCard, and I'm supposed to be in charge of this, and this is what I'm supposed to do for that position. Number 3 was staffing level analysis. And again, we've tasked the lieutenant on top of that to work on it, because it was never done. Number 4, CCTV. We've had some upgrades and we're continuing working on that. We have some money in the budget this year to continue working on it. Number 5, the monitors were asked to be replaced at the time with flat screens, and they have been. We just haven't done the ergonomic analysis, which we will work on. The N6 talks about perimeter security, and again, we still don't have perimeter fencing. Number 7, mesh coverage to be placed over maximum security yards as well as women's units. We do not have that. 8, razor wire has been fixed and upgraded. Number 9, cooling should be provided for rooms, that's happening now with the Siemens contracts and the rooms that were not covered.
What about the kitchen?
Yeah, just getting standalone AC along with the laundry,
Okay.
which was not covered before. Fire escape routes, we have them, we need to post them a little better. 12, facilities to respect regularly, which is by you guys,
When's the next one due? That must be coming up.
should be soon. 13, program rooms currently utilized were in remote parts of the building. That's been changed. We use it in areas that are easily accessible to staff and on camera. So that was changed. Transports are good. 17, the jail interior observation windows. There used to be paper on the windows blocking people's views. And those we no longer do that over there. They have a bulletin board where things can be posted for the offenders. Is there. Try to go highlights.
Number 18.
Number 18. Consideration given for the hard steel to wooden tables, not a big fan. Most of our fights are actually in that unit, and prefer not to give them weapons that can be used. we still have some things to work on, like putting together a schematic of what a cell really should look like for the offenders, so when they come in, they'd be able to make their bed correctly and put their stuff where it needs to be. It makes it a little easier for the staff and inmates to know what and how we want it set up. We're working on that. 32, the statewide automatic fingerprints, AFIS machine is, we talked about that, it's already on there. 33, inmate activity schedule has been pretty much taken care of. There's a full schedule of everything, of all their programs and rec time and everything that they have.
For each inmate, how often do they get that?
What, rec time?
No, the full schedule.
We have scheduled posted for staff. No, if they're in trust program, it's almost every day. If it's pre-trial programs,
But the inmates don't have their own personal schedule.
but they know when they have rec time, and those kinds of things. And AA and A are all pretty much standard of those times. Bible study, those kinds of things are all posted and are consistent. And that was the highlights. I don't know if you want to go into physical plant of stuff. It's a similar stuff. They talked about no perimeter fencing, talked about blind spots for the cameras. Processing doesn't have a true separation from intakes and releases. Again, that was the way the building was structured. Any other highlights of this, Pat?
Where you want to take them.
Intake releases, any of the plant stuff. It does go in here and talks about supervision of inmates. They do lack some supervision of inmates because the only, it's notes in here on page 12, except for in direct housing units only, which we only have one direct housing unit. The other units are not direct housing units. They're remote modular, where the officer goes around about every 20 minutes to go check on everything. So that's not direct supervision. So there is lack of proper supervision. Most jails, all the jails are built with every unit's direct supervision. This was not. It was just built with one unit that way.
So that means they can go into their sleeping area
The doors are open, they go in their sleep, they can go in their sleeping area or be off in the middle of the day room. Yep,
without supervision.
correct. The control can kind of see some of it, can't see one of the units except for on camera, and then that's why we have officers that roam to go through and out of the units. But it's not true direct supervision except for one unit that gives the officer the most amount of control over the unit. Safest for the officer actually too, because there's a designated post area designed for the officer and designed to be there with the inmates out 24, well, until they're locked downtown at 2300. But the other units there are out, you just remotely check on them.
And they're locked in their bedrooms, so to speak, from 11 to 7?
Yep. Yep, and there are other lockdown times too, throughout the facility, times depending on your classification and those kinds of things. So there's schedules of those times as well. Those are basically the highlights of the audit. I mean, they talked about at the time, the $3.15 per meal for a nursing home was high. It is what it is, unless you wanted to go out to bid. Talks about parking lot being congested, but again, this year we're also looking at when Siemens project's done is extending that parking lot. We did, with the farm's help or DPW's help, we did extend and do all the gravel work. So now it's just a matter of tarring. That's going to help relieve that area. So there are some things that have been fixed and some things that are continuing to be worked.
Anybody have any questions for Jason? David, you have any questions? Sarah, you have any questions? Well, I had a couple. One that I didn't understand, and that's on page 29. It was this, the commissary thing, and it's talking about the inmate telephone revenues.
Yep.
Do we have inmate telephone revenues?
Used to.
But
no longer have any telephone revenue.
So the answer to this is now no.
No.
Okay. Because they said yes, and
We did at the time, and that was part of the revenue that came over to the county. It said phone revenue, but that's what we used for the telemedicine.
And then back to the kitchen. There's a couple of questions on page 32 and 33 about the kitchen or the health authority. And it's, M, is the kitchen space and construction adequate for sanitary conditions? And they said no. And is it now?
I had no idea.
I think that was due to having no AC, which we still have no AC, but we will have AC by the end of May, hopefully.
Hopefully.
And that was considered a sanitary condition?
Yes.
Well, yeah, if you're sweating.
It's very, very, very hot in there in the summer.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and who is the proper health authority that does the scheduled inspections?
For the kitchen, usually the nursing home cook. They'll come over and check the kitchen out, make sure it's.
I don't think that's what they're talking about, it's P. Are there routine scheduled inspections by the proper health authority?
Not since I've been there.
And that's what it says, none are conducted. Are we supposed to have them?
Only if we're preparing food over there, we're not. It's all prepared at the nursing home.
We have we have fire inspections that are done by the fire department. They come through and check everything outside of the facility, so they're in on a monthly basis. So I would say that's being done.
The fire department. Yeah, but I'm not sure those are health authorities, maybe they're. The other thing is, it talks about a considerable amount of waste.
Back then, there was considerable amount of waste of food made in the nursing home. Since then, since the previous cook and this cook as well too, they've changed the menu to things that actually the offenders will actually eat. The waste is going way down.
Then on page 35, I'm just going through, because these were the ones that they were answered no, and I was just wondering if they'd been corrected or not. The laundry area, E and F, it talks about adequate security.
At this time, when this was done, 2010, again, I wasn't here, but no, there was areas that they could get into behind the dryers and other things. So since then, there has been, we call it fencing, whatever else. It's been all cordoned off, so you can't get back to these areas anymore.
So these two would now be yes?
Yes.
And then on page 37, the current inmate records maintained by the administration, or a records component. And I guess their answer was by the administration. Is that the jail administration, or is that the
Yes.
county administration? That's the jail?
Yep.
Okay. Now, were those the records that were piled in boxes in the corner of the room? Past, what are the inspections I was over?
Oh, down in processing area?
Yes,
That's all the past and present inmate records.
and that's where they are, in there.
Yeah, no records room. Yep.
We are still waiting for a shredder. The room that we used over in the old nursing home is totally full. There is no place where we can store our documents now, so it's a fire hazard.
Right, and they're old enough now where they could be put on computers and shredded, right?
They can be shredded now, but the problem is that
We have an order.
there's a still outstanding court order that says Carroll County
Is
not
that
any.
still in effect?
Yeah, they got Liz working on it.
And if that's lifted, then we would get a shredding company to come in. We have at least a ton that needs at least 1
Well,
ton shredded.
that's what I'm thinking, because there are other records in other places that are stored and taking up room that need to just be either uploaded on a computer or shredded. David?
Why is this taking so much time? I think that we were ordered not to destroy any records on a case 4 or 5 or 6 years old, isn't it?
I don't know, that was the,
It's a court order from,
Yeah, but it was for a specific case, and I think it was.
No, for all records. And I asked Liz about it, she said we cannot until she goes through the whole court.
Oh, I
process.
know, I know, I don't mean to say that it was for one specific case, but it was a result of a case over there, and I think it was when Comeau took us to court on
Yeah,
91A,
yep.
and that's been adjudicated 6 years ago, so why is it taking them so long?
Because no one thought about it until I just reached out to Liz. I reached out to
So
her,
is this room filled up over here, nobody thought about it?
well, we moved it to the nursing home.
Well, that's what I say, was that, they just said it's filled up. Is it
Yeah.
filled
Oh,
up?
nursing home's filled up?
Nobody,
Yes.
The rooms over there, yeah.
The
nobody
room that-
thought about it as we were filling up the room?
I just talked to Liz a couple weeks ago about it, so.
The
Well,
room,
we discussed a shredder company coming in because the attorney has records that need to be shredded, correct? Yes, that are way outdated and stuff. So that was a year ago. I thought you were going to reach out then. All right. So that's a work in progress, I guess. Try to get you guys some more room. Now, do you keep printed records for, or is everything now on the computer?
A lot of stuff's on our XGS system with a lot of printed records as well too, court documents and those kinds of things.
Each day, now, currently?
at one time, we talked about getting dock staff,
Yes. I think that's the same one.
and we wasn't able to because we didn't have fiber optics at the time. Now we do, so I don't know if that's something you're still looking at in the future.
I've heard that phrase before, so we must be doxed up.
That was before me, so.
So, back when it was brought forward, an IT committee to do DocStar type scanning, so everybody here could scan and put it in, attach with their files. And at the time, Representative Cordelli thought it was an okay idea, but did not want to move forward until everybody had fiber and everybody could share it, always because it was going to be only one, I think it was just this building that could actually do it, and so he wanted to wait until everybody could have access to be able to do it. And that's just never come forward. Again, I don't know what the price is on that or anything, but it hasn't moved forward.
All right. You thought that was a good idea too, right?
Dockside, yes.
Yeah. Can you want to see what you can dig up about that?
Sure.
Because we now have we now have fiber optics. So
Does it have to be DocStar, or can it be like?
Yeah.
well, I think it would have to go out to bid.
Yeah.
That just happened to be the people that did the presentation at the time.
I tried to, I just say, kind of came out before we did something like that, it's just that it's the initial upfront of putting all the data in, depending on what starting point you have. We actually hired a person full-time for a while who would redact the information that wasn't supposed to be in there, because you have to, and put in the machine everything you wanted in there. It's a lengthy process up front. Once it's going, it's not so bad, but up front, depending on what you want to put in for files and how far back you want to go, can be a challenge.
And what do you call this, like storage?
Yeah, it just scan everything,
Goes up in the cloud.
yeah.
Yeah, but what do you call it? Just document storage or document?
I think that's what the DocStar is, document storage.
Scanning and storing them.
So, basically in the future, we could go paperless.
All right, now, on page 38, another no, our policies and procedures current, maintained, and updated as needed.
At that time, there wasn't a policy. 2010, there wasn't a policy and procedures. Now there is policies and procedures and updated, and we're,
How often do you update them?
well, I brought some to you before in the past here and there, and then currently now, you said Riley's going through every single policy, so at some point this year, you'll have stacks of them.
Annually or biannually or?
Probably after this year, after we get through them all, probably do it biannually. There's a lot there. A lot was taken from other places and hodgepodge together. That we've now had a fix of what we're actually doing.
And the lieutenant's doing that?
Nope. It's myself, the major and lieutenant, but also Ed Riley, who worked 42 years in corrections, came up, and he's actually been plowing through them on 2 or 3 days a week.
Is he writing some or just?
A lot of notes on them, and then some where actually we have, some policies we actually have to create, or like incorporating Korea into almost all the policies, so it's interwoven. Instead of just a separate policy, it's also mixed in with multiple policies. It's a combination.
All right, and then you just discussed all the parking that's going to be taken care of. Oh, on page 41H, is there a dedicated staff exercise area? Now, when I first came here, I thought there was, but this says no.
No, at that time, 2010, there was a weight room that was for the offenders. That's now classroom 4, so there wasn't one. Building C, there is one now. There is a dedicated weight room area for staff.
In building C?
Yep.
Is there one also for the inmates?
No, they have workout equipment on the unit.
Oh. And the staff training areas, this said that it wasn't sufficient. You were going to have a training area in the annex. Did you get that set up?
We have a meeting room and another meeting room. It's all been painted. We've got to do something with the floor. The floor is a mess. We're working on the floor next.
Is that something you put flooring in?
Yeah.
And we'll work on the storage. If we can get rid of those files, that would give you more storage, right?
That would be helpful.
And the other one is on page 43G. It says, is proper security provided? And and the answer was no, and I assume that's proper security for the storage areas, not for the...
For storage areas. I don't think they were happy with the locks that were on the doors at the time, and they want heavier duty locks.
So have you done anything about that?
No, the areas that are there, still, it's a single key lock, and it's, haven't had no issues, and we're okay with it.
All right, and that was a whole thing you were talking about, the exterior security. And on page 45, I guess this is where probably the write-up came from, were these particular questions. About the TV cameras are not placed appropriately for outside.
At the time, and Major can talk about, there's been more cameras put in since then, right?
Correct.
So do we have sufficient cameras? There's no camera today, so it's kind of
It's better than it was, but
not sufficient.
correct.
A lot better than it was.
And this again is the perimeter fencing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how far from the fencing that exists would the perimeter fencing be? Would that be around the entire, the whole building? Or
Be
just
around
the
where the-
outside the areas?
Outside the areas, because right now you can walk up to anybody's window. So you can run front around the windows, all the way around where they have access to the offender's windows. 'Cause right now you can walk right up to them.
And that isn't a concern?
Oh, it's a concern. It was brought forward before, but it was shot down.
Yeah.
We've had to literally go out, take visitors that would talk through the windows and say, get your car and go, what we will call the test. So
Okay, so, because to me that seems like a major concern, because, because I think it also would have something to do with the safety of the inmates.
Correct.
So, to me, that's
We can look for prices again and bring it forward again, for this capital improvement, see what happens.
But I personally think that would be a good suggestion. Karen?
Has the delegation, they haven't done anything about a capital improvement plan. Remember, everything is wiped out from that, right? Because it wasn't done properly?
No,
I thought that they,
it was done properly. The only thing that wasn't, it was, the delegation coordinator didn't notice it for the for the capital reserves.
reserves.
Right, which was only the 50,000 for the water tower
Yep.
and the, what's the other one? Maybe it was just for the water tower. But, oh no, the capital improvement has been going on for 3 years. But I mean,
Something was not correct about it.
just
Just
capital
that.
reserves.
Okay.
Um,
So they haven't started that up again yet, right? They haven't done
What?
The capital
that. Capital
reserve.
reserve funds. Don't need them.
They're the ones who have to notice it, so.
Well, stuff like this is, should be in the capital reserve and be putting money away.
Well, I mean, the last delegation wouldn't go for it. We had tried, but I guess they didn't feel it was that much of an issue.
We really had to fight even to get the wall raised to where the escapee went over.
I didn't think the windows on those cells open,
They don't.
They
They don't,
so how do you talk through them?
Walk right up to them, just as a piece of plexiglass. You can talk loud enough through them,
They're not bulletproof.
reasonably. I don't want to put a shotgun up to anything, but, yeah, so you can talk through it. Or you make hand signals through it, write papers back and forth, notes through it.
nope.
Well, the white fence was put up there for a reason, because we had people inappropriately back and forth through the window, exposing each other through the windows. That's why the white fence is up there, which wasn't there before.
Why aren't they bulletproof?
Well, they are, they're plexiglass bulletproof.
Well, I think it's
Yeah.
polycarbonate.
I don't know what they're rated for, but I want to test them out.
Well, I would.
And if we're gonna talk about security, so we should be doing it now.
Right. Okay. But I think, my opinion is that if something should be put on the capital improvement plan, we put it on the capital improvement plan and put it in our budget. Then if the delegation doesn't want to fund it that year, that's, their prerogative if they don't want to approve the money for it. But then the next year, it should go back on. Just because somebody says no once, I'm like a 2-year-old. You tell me no once, I'm going to keep asking until you say yes.
I wasn't here at the time when this brought forward at the time, there was no appetite also by the commissioners either, so that's why I got it.
Well, I still,
But that's something we can definitely look into.
okay, and the H takes care of that. I think that was all the comments or questions that I had. Does there anyone else have anything, any comments, questions, whatever?
Go through and read all these again.
Okay. Now, Jason, what was your purpose in showing that to us?
A purpose of that is some things came up over the past year for delegation and talked about staffing levels and those kinds of things, and this went into that, talking about we're very lean on staffing, not enough to possibly respond and include in here for if we had emergencies. That's why we're also doing a staffing analysis. Two different things. The jails are run differently in different places. If you're a direct supervision housing unit jail straight up, you could close a unit down and move people over if you had to. It's not so great because you have to move mixed classifications. We are already mixing classifications. We're not a direct supervision unit except for one unit. We are already remote podular. So we don't have to have, if we had direct supervision units for each one of those, then I'd have to add 4 or 5 more staff members on per shift to cover those if they were direct supervision housing units, but we're not. So that way, the building was built that way on purpose, to limit staffing inside the facility. So we don't have a large staff. And so they brought that up, and then so as long as we're going through, this was done in 2010. Mr. Cordelli asked that, maybe we should look at an audit for over there for performance audit, which I'm fine. They can come on over and do a performance audit. And right here shows what we had to work on and what still needs to work on. I'm sure they'll come up pretty much the same thing again. Won't change too much.
Did you want to add anything to that?
Nope, I'm good.
Did you get a copy of the letter? Right? Also here for a support letter for the mental health grant that we're putting in for, that we approved us to be able to put in for.
Yeah, let me give this one, the wordsmith went through it yesterday.
So this is a letter just supporting the grant application process. I have a letter going out to Jean Shaheen's office. Last time she helped push this grant through and got us funding for 2 years. Talked to Chuck Henderson, and he's going to work with her and hopefully push this grant through for us as well. I'll have one out to the governor's office. Last time he also supported and gave us a nice letter of support out of it as well. So we're right now in the process of collecting the letters. Okay.
This is a new grant?
The one we approved a couple weeks ago, yeah, for the.
Oh, we've already, yeah.
Yep, the mental health one, that could, so, that would go for about between $600,000 and $800,000 over 4 years.
And what would it cost the county
Nothing.
after the 4 years?
That all depends if we want to continue with the counselor, the part-time clinician. The part-time clinician is contracted, not a hired position, so if the money goes away, the position goes away.
I missed the first sentence. I think we should say request funding under this grant. Doesn't say anywhere here what the grant is. I think we should put it in. I missed that. Very first line.
Okay? It'll be attached with the grant, this letter, so I mean, we can add it into the letter itself if you want to, but it's all attached, all PDF together, into the grant, packaged together in the grant.
Oh, okay.
The only letter that would be separate would be the senator's letter. They'll take hers out and that will go separate. Everything else would be PDF together.
We're going to get a report on the 5th of June, is that right?
Correct.
June 5th,
June
8th,
Is it 5th?
June 5th, yeah.
So I'm asking for is just, signatures to sign off on support. You've already voted, said we can go for grant. This is just a letter saying we support.
This goes with the grant?
Correct.
Yeah. All right. I'll wait a motion to sign this letter of requesting that goes with the grant.
I'll second.
I guess I'm starting to make an awful lot of motions, aren't I, Cheryl? Not really. I try. Are there any comments or questions about this letter? All those in favor of signing it, say aye. Aye. Okay, there we go.
Does this go to you?
Yep. Yeah, I'll make a copy. Shelley, you want a copy with their signatures on it?
No, it could come with the grant proposal.
Okay.
That's what Kathy's gonna get it anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm setting up a date for the grant review. We have a new delegation member in the review committee, so as soon as I can find out a
What was
date
that?
that he's going to be available, I'll let everybody know, because we've got a couple of them to look at.
Who's in the member? Oh, I shouldn't ask.
I think Mr. Nelson.
Oh, really?
I'll have to check with you as to who it is, but. Okay, anything else for us today?
That's it.
All right, well, thank you both
Thanks,
for
Ted.
coming over, and
Thank you.
it's nice to see you over here. It's a long walk for us to come visit you.
You might want to think which one wants to come over to the next inspection in the near future.
I enjoyed my tour.
Could use that at an inspection day too.
You volunteering?
No, I was.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you. Okay, we have another request from a grant from the Sheriff's Department. Yes, sir. Mobile data terminal.
Here are the copies. You just got them.
We didn't get, were these in that second email? too?
No, I just got these this morning from
Oh.
from Mike, so.
Yeah, this is for next year's budget. This isn't for this year's budget. And I'll explain it when you have to get a minute to look at it if you want.
No, it's gonna take more than a minute to look at it, I think, so.
Yeah. I
You
mean, if you go to-
explain, you
Just give us an
explain,
overview.
and
Yeah,
we'll have notes to study by.
yeah. I mean, page 3, where it says project goals, gives a nice little one-paragraph brief on it, but
Okay. Well, now, the brief just ended with MDTs,
Yeah.
because I'm lost.
NDTs are mobile data terminals. They're basically laptops and the computers in the cruisers. We have 8 in the cruisers right now, and 1 with detectives. And they basically are a live link into the IMC, Informational Service Dispatch Module, the Records Module, and so forth. I don't know, you guys, I don't know how much you're aware of, we have the hub for Carroll County, and we have, currently have 8 departments connected to it, so everyone gets dispatched through us. All but 2, I think, are connected to our hub. So we put information in, we have a live connection with their PD. They basically are working off of our system. The mobile data terminals, when a call comes in, their dispatcher calls the radio, but it also comes over their mobile data terminals, so they see what dispatcher's entering in, they see what's, the backup information, so we don't have to call back and say, give me the road number again, can you give me the callback number again? It's a live look at, they also can have live looks at NCIC for wanted people, stolen cars, anything among those, that's motor vehicle information. 6 of the, I think 6 so far of the agencies that are connected to our hub also have mobile data terminals. We were one of the first ones to get them. Customer was actually the first one. We were one of the first ones to get them. And because of that, our terminals are, we bought refurbished, what I call tough books, which are basically, ruggedized laptops that you can basically drive and park your car on and, put up on your cruiser, drive away in the winter and have it crash all over the road, come back, get it, go back in, so.
That's the kind I need.
You're saying that like that's what happened?
No, it didn't.
Okay.
Didn't happen, I'm saying, but it would protect, it did happen. The ones we're looking at now, those are 7 years old, so the technology that's coming through with the connections with the VPNs and all the state NCIC upgrades and so forth, those terminals are becoming obsolete, and they're gonna be, we already have errors with them, and we're trying to replace them. So there's a grant that will give us up to $1,500 per terminal, $500 per amount. We have a bid, that's not necessarily the bid we're gonna go with, obviously we would have to put it out to bid, and we're gonna be looking for, mobile data terminals that would, I guess we'd be willing to pay a little bit more if the delegation was allowing us and the commission was allowing us, if they're gonna be, support our needs for longer. The ones we did this time were good, but like I said, but the technology moves forward. The MDTs now are becoming more efficient, and the technology is allowed to last a little bit longer. But like I said, the ones we have now, I think, are 7 years old.
So this grant, it's basically for $2,000 a unit.
No.
The grant is the match grant. They'll give us up to $2,000. We actually have a bid where we're looking for 10 units, and it's $63,000. So if we went with this one and the commissioners and the delegation approved, and then the sheriff would have to add $43,000 to his budget. That would also include the startup of, we're going online with the state we're online with eCrash. I go online with eCrash next week. We're online with e-complaints, which are basically fill them out, you send, it goes right to the court. The e-crash fill, the accident report, it goes right to the state. We don't have to mail in anything anymore, house any documents anymore. The third component is e-citation, which we're still looking at. We're not convinced we're going to go to, but this is about, this has 2 out of 3 of the components we would need if we wanted to do it. We'd be basically missing the credit.
So this grant is for $2,000 a unit that would be matching, but not, even with the matching fund, as a matching fund, it wouldn't be enough to buy the unit. Okay, that's
Each
what
unit,
I was
I
trying to
think,
get at.
if you break it down, each unit, if we went with this one, which this is a top of the line,
$6,300.
really good one, 6,300, and we would get around $2,000 back for it. So we'd be looking at 4,000 for the
I gotcha. And there's no guarantee to get the grant.
No, it's what they call, it's through New Hampshire Highway Office Safety, it's what's called a rolling grant, so they get the money. And you'll see, and I don't want anyone to panic, you'll see application due April 8th, 2019. That's just when they want to try and get it through. I've been speaking with them all along, and as long as they have the money, they'll give out the grants. So I told them I was going to be meeting with the commissioners today and hopefully getting the blessing at least to approve and put in the agreement.
So when do they award the grant?
I don't have that answer for you. It would be, I think it would be within short order. They award that we could get it, and then we would have to present it with our budget for next year and so forth. And if the delegation said no, then we would tell them we can't.
Right. But my question is, if we got the grant, they tell us next month we got the grant, will they hold the money until next April when we get approved funding for the rest of it?
I'll have to get back to you.
'Cause sometimes if you don't take the money in a certain length of time, they
Well,
put it back into the fund.
It's been my experience, but this is 2020, they're not gonna disperse it until then anyways.
Okay.
So, this is for money that's coming for 2020, not this year, so then they can't disperse it before. Anyways, but I could be wrong. But
Well,
there's all
that's,
kinds of rules with grants, with different grants, and every grant you put in for is a little different.
okay, so now, you're writing up the grant?
Yeah, that's it right there.
This is it?
Yeah.
That's all? Oh, nice, short one.
That's the easiest one I've ever done. And again, if you approved it, I'm gonna send it down today, and if we were, let's say go ahead and go for it, before we went any further, we would have to put it out to bid, obviously.
Right. David, question?
Yes. Mike, the updating the computers is physically, does that change the size of the unit? Or why are we buying new docking units if the computer is the same?
It's not the same. It's a different unit. It's more of a tablet type unit with a attached keyboard and so forth. And we've experienced that anytime you buy new equipment, you have to, the docking units or the connecting units to the cruisers are different. I don't know if it's part of their ploy or, this is not Panasonic, this is a different unit, so they're gonna have their own, we have to dock it a certain way. Yeah, because, and you gotta do it a certain way because the cruisers will be bouncing around and so forth. But we would have internal air cards, the other ones have external ones, which are problematic, but they bounce around.
What is a Rhino test?
That's what the units are called. It's a tablet, and Rhino is basically a generic term for, ruggedized.
Thank you.
Right, yeah.
Well, that's what it's commonly used for, but, yeah.
Got it.
And if you walk in, we can show you pictures. We can show you pictures of the units and so forth. Like I said, this one, we're not sure we're going with this one. This is just one that we'd love to go with this one. It's a nice unit. It meets the purpose.
But basically, maximum number would be, per unit, $4,000 for the county's expense and $2,000 from the grant.
It's 4,300, I think.
Yeah.
That's if we went with this one, yeah. We're not gonna go with anything more expensive if that's your, I don't anticipate that.
But I mean, that's a ballpark figure, so,
Yes.
yeah. Because they want to know, that's one of the first things the grant committee asks is how much is it costing, does it cost the county anything? That's the first question. You have any other comments? David, any other comments?
The only thing I would add to it is some of this, part of this is, I think, is a $600 installation fee. And we have a guy that does our cruisers, and when we spoke to this guy, we asked if he would show him how to do the first one, he could do the rest. And we would only be paying him what we pay him for, he's a part-time deputy, so we pay him part-time deputy hours. So that might save a little bit of cost, but for this purpose, I think it's safe to go with this number.
So you would like an answer from us today?
I'd like permission to send it down, yes. I realize it has to go through the grant committee, and, we're,
Not until we accept the money.
Right.
So you've got until, you know, and what we try to do with the grant committee is run it through the grant committee before the money gets awarded. So when it gets awarded, you can have it immediately and not wait for them to meet down the road. That's the goal. Sometimes we're successful.
it's for next year's budget, so.
Does somebody want to make a motion on that?
I'll make a motion, but what should it be?
That we approve him, his
Do we
application?
approve the application for the fiscal year 2020 mobile data terminal equipment program for local law enforcement?
Yeah. Sounds good to me. Did you get all that, Cheryl? Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. The motion's been made and seconded to approve the submission of this application, and that's all you need from us, right?
Is it accepted?
Well, all those in favor,
Aye.
say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Yes. We've approved you sending it down.
I appreciate it, thank you.
We don't have to sign it.
No, capital might have to sign it, but I'm sure you just put financial piece at the end of the last page, second to last page.
Now, you might have to have a separate audit done, because this is next year when we do the 2020 audit, when we do the 2019 audit in 2020, because you have over $750,000 in grants, there has to be a separate audit done. So that'll be happening.
But we have, I know we've been approved for them, we haven't used them yet. So we're still the tower grant and everything should be coming online soon. So I think as far as this year goes, we're not gonna be over that $750,000.
But then we have the jail grant, we have, it's not just
Oh,
you,
gotcha. All right.
aggregately,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm just thinking of myself.
Yeah, I know you are.
Okay. So if you don't need my signature on it, I'm good.
I don't believe so, I'm sure they'll let us know. Thank you.
That's who usually I get stuck with signing those. So, good. All right, anything else for us?
Not that I'm aware of them.
All right. How has dispatch been handling all the pipe work and people in and out and up and down and around and?
They've been fine and they've been respectful, and if there's been a major incident, they've said, hey, slow down, knock it off, and everyone's been good about it and stuff, so. So far, a few glitches, the phones are where we have the most glitches, and they're here working again. For the most part, it's construction, it is to be expected, and we've told them about it, and everything's gone, I'm not gonna say it's gone smooth, but it's certainly better than the acceptable barriers.
Excellent, excellent. Very good. Well, thank you. And please thank the dispatchers for their patience and tolerance with all of this going on. But they're going to benefit greatly in the end.
Right, with the heating and cooling and stuff, it's always been a problem in there, so that's probably the reason they're willing to put up with a lot. So,
Oh, well, thank you. Anybody else have anything for Mike? No? Just,
okay, thank you.
all right, thank you very much. Okay, next is the Affordable Assisting Living Facility and discussion of an RFP.
Howard's not here today or tomorrow, so he sent this. We didn't know if we were gonna do a, and you had wanted it on the agenda as well.
Right, because I was under the impression it was going to be a feasibility study.
I don't know what happened.
Did it?
Did you call him, Mike?
Yes.
Yes, I did.
I'm gonna tell you, I'm not very pleased with this. I think we got blindsided at the delegation meeting when Howie got up and he said that the only location would be here. We had discussions when we came up with the first one that we may even have one in the northern part of the county and one here. I was very, very disappointed with the performance. To me, if you're going out for a request for feasibility, it ought to include what the cost is, where the location is, the need for it. There's many things. It isn't, you don't go out and say, okay, this is what we want, especially when this board hadn't even voted on that's what we want. And
Well-
that's what appears here.
Ken?
The whole plan was to do the feasibility study for, and I thought the whole plan was North Conway and here.
Yeah, but that's
Or-
not what
or-
he said. He
I know
said
that's not what he said, that's why I didn't know what happened.
I have to agree with David. I was a little disappointed in the delegation meeting. I would have thought that Howie would have told us beforehand that he was going to bring this up or mention it to us, because we had no idea he was going to do this. So I just thought it was putting us in a bad position. So
How did we ever even get on talking on that?
he just
You just came up with it? I mean,
Yeah.
there was no lead-in, or, I can't remember, all of a sudden you just said it, and I'm like,
I have not had time to review the film from the meeting. But I do know that it's caused other people to make comments without any basis of fact, and I find that very upsetting. It was my understanding that when we talked about this before, it was a feasibility study. We hired a company to do a feasibility study. Preliminary, they looked at it and they gave their suggestion, and we, as a board, at that time, did not like their suggestion. We asked them to do another one, which hasn't been forthcoming.
well, they said no. Because we didn't have any money at the time, remember?
There was a question about the money,
Right.
right?
Took
We
the
had,
money out of, the delegation took the money out of going out for, we wanted to have another study, lady do another proposal, and the delegation, we wanted
That was at
10,000,
10,000,
yeah, and they took it out.
well, there was and we had encumbered it, and there was a discussion as to whether we
Yep.
could or not.
Right.
And so we just, it didn't. And then this year we put in for, I believe it was
25,000.
25,000 to do a feasibility study. And the delegation approved that.
Mhm.
And therefore, my belief is that before we even think about spending that 25,000, that this board should discuss what we would like in the feasibility study, and then go forward. Snide remarks about the fact that the delegation, that the commissioners have a plan and have done an end run, I just think are totally causing chaos. And so I think that what we should do is go back to the beginning, look at assisted living facilities and what we think are the needs, and then put that into what we think a feasibility study should look at. And I think David's right, you know, whether we need one or not, there's some question about that. The cost of what one would be, whether it would actually be something the county could financially do. I think where it should be is important. Just because the nursing home is set up for an addition, I don't think that eliminates all other places. Because we have large senior populations in other areas besides Ossipee. So that's my opinion.
I agree. And that's
Oh my
why-
God,
That's why I was surprised.
and there's no camera here. Did you get that?
Yep.
They all agree on one for once. So I did talk to Howie quickly after that meeting to find out where all this came from, and apparently, there's some delegation members who will only support one off the nursing home. They won't support another one anywhere else. So I don't know if he was under pressure from that, or I'm not sure why he even said it. To tell you the truth is, we weren't even talking about an assisted living facility,
Dave.
so.
Well, Howie reports to you, Ken, and whatever the delegation thinks at this point, as far as I'm concerned, is too early. If you're gonna have a feasibility study, you study all options and all costs. You don't have somebody that says, oh, out of 2 out of 15 say, I won't support anything. That's baloney. We're here as a group, not two individuals. And I would like to have the chairman perhaps drop Mr. Representative Woodcock a note and ask him to come in and explain what our end run is, because I have no idea what it is.
Who said that?
In his Facebook,
Yeah, Representative Woodcock.
so
I
he
already-
made an end run.
What does
And,
that even mean?
well,
I
I
don't
don't know. I did send him a message asking him what our apparent plan was, because I was unaware we had one. But if we do, I asked him what it was, and I also asked him about the end run, what the commissioners had done for an end run. But
I don't even know what that even means.
well, maybe we'll get a response and we'll find out. But what I would like to do today is start to talk about an assisted living facility and the feasibility of one. Now, I have seen reports, it's a Registry of Deeds Association, I believe, that has said that what's happening with the elder population is going to see an ebb and flow similar to what's happening to the school systems. You know, a number of years ago, there were way too many students for the schools, so we built larger schools. And now that population of students has declined. And the same thing's going to happen with the elder population
What
once.
is moving underground the same thing as moving out of town?
Well, I expect the numbers will have it'll have the same effect on the numbers.
Excuse me for interrupting you.
Well, that's true, but, you know, and people aren't having kids anymore, so. But,
They were saying that some places are saturated with assisted living places now, and they're starting to be on the decline financially, and because there was a great need, but who knows?
well, the studies there's a couple of studies, and they both seem to insinuate that when the baby boomers are gone, these places are gonna be empty, or Yes.
I have the latest report on aging from the state. I have it on my desk, I'll send it to you guys. It's pretty thick, a lot of reading, but,
I get that every month. Yeah, I get that, yeah.
you know, I downloaded it off the County Delegation, they did a report on it. So I just downloaded it, and it's a lot of reading, but, you know, I think this is two things. I think we're looking at the affordable assisted living for, you know, Medicaid, not the private pay so much, but if we have a good mixture, who knows? But I think you're right, I think we gotta look at you know, at everything, not just adding on here. Whether he gets pressure or not, you know, he still works for, you know, for the Board of Commissioners, so whatever you want is what goes in the RFP.
Well, and this has to benefit all the people in Carroll County, you know, and if there's a large population of people that need affordable assisted living in Sandwich, then maybe that's what we should be looking at. Or if, you know, I just use that as an example, but those are the things that we need to look at when we do this feasibility study, to see, you know, if it's feasible. And if they come out and they decide that, gee, you know, we've got 4 private ones, and maybe what we need to do is have arrangements so there's so many beds in each of those that can go to affordable assisted living. There are a lot of different things that I think need to be looked at, and I think David's right. Everybody needs to keep an open mind when we do a feasibility study. So I guess you have that report. The government must have a report too, don't they, on aging?
That is from the government.
Oh, that is. That's the federal one or the state?
No, state one.
State. I think we probably should look at that. Howie did he come up with an RFP? This is just kind of a list of stuff, but is that what you thought of?
Yeah, he just didn't know what, you know. Well, first I told him, I said, you know, I don't even know if they even want to do it. They really haven't voted on it. So, you know, I said, you know, put down your ideas of what you think should be in the RFP, and then they can add or take away what they want, and we'll come up with it. But he just looks at one.
Yeah. So I think we have some more homework to read this over, to see, you know, what we think of it, any additions, corrections, whatever. And then he'll be here next weekend, next week?
No, on the 22nd.
Yeah, I think this is a couple weeks.
May 22nd.
22nd or 29th, whenever you want to hit that.
So we can, you know, look at it on the 22nd
Okay.
and discuss whether or not we want an RFP. I guess it's the first step, right? And then secondly, what we think should be in it. I forget what the name of the company was that did it before.
Lady,
Roxy Severance, what was it? It was something,
lady from up in Jefferson, somewhere up there,
Whitefield.
Landau.
I forget the name of the company though.
David?
Chairman, I think I'll make a motion that we at least move ahead with organizing or putting together an RFQ for assisted living proposal,
An RFQ?
whatever they have. That we continue on, we gotta have some vote that we wanna do it, and that's basically what I'm trying to do. And then we can talk about the specifics after we give Howie and Ken the authority to do it, to spend their time on it.
Would you read that motion back to me, please?
Commissioner Babson, motion to move ahead with an RFP for the assisted living.
Yeah, that's all, that's about.
Okay, just move forward, working on an RFP.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. And we'll start working on that May 22nd.
I'm going to take a picture. Like that.
Okay.
If I can get up.
Okay. Let's take a 5-minute recess.
Can we go outside? No one else but me. You're right, yep. I totally forgot about that email.
Right, yeah, Ms.
Yeah, I missed it.
Mark.
Marge said that they had discussed it because they were going to sell it.
Yeah.
Are we back in session?
No, we should be though,
We have to-
right,
we have
David,
to wait
I gotta
for-
wait for David, he's gone to get a cup of coffee. Okay, David, we're back in session. Next is the water meter service.
No.
Oh. I'm sorry, I already checked that one off. I'm out of myself. Can we have this, it's a 3-year contract with Primex, is that right?
Yeah,
21, 22, 23?
It's part of their CAP program. If we engage them for 3 years, they only raise it to a maximum of 9%. We've been doing this for several 3-year periods. So it's just something that we're able, be able to budget with. And it just helps us out in like our budgeting.
Is that 3% per year or 9% per year?
It won't go up any more than 9%. I mean, it hasn't gone up that much, so,
Is that per year or is that for the 3-year period?
per year, 9% per year, for 3 years.
So we're looking at a potential 20, if it goes to the max, a potential 27%.
Right, it won't go over that for 3 years. But again, this is, public risk. We've gotten money back, like we did last year. We ended up saving $18,000 a building, so.
What do they charge us per year?
For property and liability, that's,
Is that what this is for?
yeah, 100 and. Liability, for this building, it's 126,886.
100 and what?
126,886. And the nursing home is the same, so,
What about the jail?
no, we're gonna split between the nursing home and here.
So this is just for here and the nursing home?
Yes,
The admin and the nursing home?
right. Well, the admin includes the gym, so.
Oh, okay, including jail.
So it's
So,
about 360,000, aggregately.
yes, Joe.
Actually, it's not a question so much as a general comment, if you will. If this could reach 9% per year, I hope the commissioners realize that the cost of living is considerably more than the 2 or 3% that's shown each year, and hopefully we can reflect that somehow in salaries.
Okay, this is property and
Liability.
liability
Okay.
insurance.
All right, I apologize, I misread that.
Oh,
I've been
okay,
up, I've been up,
'cause
all
I'm-
night. I've been up since midnight, so I
Oh.
apologize.
Well, you just
We
threw
drive
me
it.
in front of curve, because I'm like,
My point there, and again, it's just a general comment,
yeah.
we see everything increase, and I don't mean just in the county or anything, I'm just talking in general, you don't see the pay scales keeping pace.
My question is, when was the last time this property and liability went out to bid?
It's a risk pool. We don't go out to bid on commercial insurance. The counties enter into, all counties and towns enter into a risk pool. So we get money back. They call it a holiday. We got back, I believe it was on our workers' comp last year. We saved 60,000.
But that's not this.
No, but we have gotten a holiday on this as well. So it's not commercial insurance. We do all of our insuring through a public risk management. And with that, they provide all the trainings and
So
for that.
we have to accept this, is that what you're telling me?
No, you don't have to accept it. It can go up to 12% or something. This just locks it in for the next 3 years at only 9%.
At a maximum.
Maximum 9%.
But we could do an annual one, and who knows what. that-
Right, yep,
I
yep, for the next 3 years.
Well, with our parking lot,
That is some concern they have with that. So, and I'm trying to address it. I'm gonna be looking to address it in July. Once we get done, you know, our second quarter review and see where we might have funds available to you know, to ask the delegation for, I think it was 80,000.
So we're looking at a potential maximum increase over 3 years of $68,000 on top of what we're paying now.
But if we, you know, if we keep doing what we're doing, you know, it doesn't, it won't even go up a percentage of that.
And what happens if, Amanda asked a question and I don't think you answered what she asked. If we went out on an annual basis to the same place,
Could be anywhere, right?
to Primex, we know what they're gonna charge us. Was that your question? I thought it was.
right,
Well, if it's 3 years, what happens if we say, no, we don't wanna commit for 3 years, we only wanna commit for one? What,
It
Are
could
we
go up
still
27%,
stuck?
it could go up 30%. All depends. But because of our risk that they've assessed over the past 30 years, they're locking us in at 9%. As opposed to.
well, our risk isn't gonna change if we go to 1 year.
It might. It might. Who knows? Somebody could-
Yeah, well, it could change in 3 years too.
It could, but at least we're guaranteed for the next 3 years, we locked in.
do you know what the change has been in the past 3 years
Last
for those doing annuals? Have we done it annually in the past?
No, we've always done it the 3-year.
What was the last 3-year law?
I don't, I'd have to look, I have no idea. I have no idea. I mean, and again, we get rated on, again, what we have with them, workers' comp, property and liability, we have unemployment with them, I mean, we have everything through them. Thus, we get a discount on some of our other stuff too.
But you tell me it's a risk pool and we have to go with this.
We have to go with some risk pool, either Primex or, we also belong to the New Hampshire Municipal Association. They also have a risk pool there as well. We're an associate member.
And what prevents us from going out to bid to the municipal association and their risk?
Then we lose some,
Quantity discount?
not only that, but we also lose, you know, some training opportunities. So,
Well, we may lose the training opportunities at Primex, but the municipal association has an awful lot.
but we're only an associate member. We only pay like I don't know, $600 a year as an associate membership. We don't get the full benefits of being a full member. Because it, you know, it's quite more expensive. And with the property liability, they also provide all our legal defense. As well too, if someone slips and falls, if someone, you know, gets hurt in a car accident, if someone, you know, heaven forbid is walking a dog in a short circuit and the dog gets electrocuted.
no options on this $250,000 a year bill?
No, again, we can go to the municipal association, but I believe we have to pay the full membership in order to get some of the benefits from that agency, or from that organization.
And what would that be provided as a poll? We get this through the Association of Counties?
No, we get this through a risk pool, which is fine.
No, but I mean,
That had nothing to do with the Hampshire Association of Counties.
okay, so what we pay in is our cost of joining, basically.
No, it's our risk assessment.
$252,000. What
Right,
would it
with-
cost us to join the municipal association?
Quite a bit more, I believe. Associates is $900. I don't know, I'd have to check into it. I've never really checked into it. I know it's several $1,000s, if not $10,000.
Well, could you check in and get some numbers?
Yeah.
As to, you know, they'll wanna know what kind of coverage, and we'll have to, so you'll have to show them the Primex policy.
Yeah.
So they can look at it.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's $250,000 at both places, it's $250,000, but if it's 100,000 at one and $250,000 at another, that's, would be a substantial.
I'd imagine that they assess it on all our property and our vehicles and our liability and, you know, what claims we've had in the past, you know, over the past 3 years.
Well, I don't think it would hurt to ask.
No, I don't mind doing that.
I think we owe it to the taxpayers to at least investigate.
Okay.
And all possibilities, not just the municipal
When
association.
do we have to have this in? Is there a date? Is there
Uh,
a deadline?
By June 14th, so we got a month.
Oh, I see. Yeah, okay.
Okay. Siemens, oh, no,
Now-
wait a minute.
now
Now
I-
we're
now I can
at the
check that
water.
off.
Yeah, now we're at the water thing.
So, you all received, Mark Webster's email. There was a bunch of discussion, but no one ever really took a formal vote. So, it's up to the board now. You want to allow Mr. Reynolds access to the water? Or not?
Anyone want to make a motion to do that?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second that. For discussion. All right, is there any discussion? David, do you want to make a comment? David, would you like to make a comment about that?
No, I'm gonna support it. It's his land, and he can build whatever he is. All we're doing is supplying him with water. He can drill a well if he wants to. Well, I'm not gonna stand in his way.
I agree. He's already on the system, right?
His other houses.
His other houses, so, yeah.
And we go right by it.
Can we go right by it, so I don't have a problem with that. I mean, if at some point in time, David, that you want to do something where we start remitting, then that's something we have to look into. It would be nice to know how, what the system will support.
Maybe we should have a policy, you know, that if it goes by the house, fine, but if it's 100 feet down the road, you do or don't, or whatever.
This is, I'm fine, I'll
Okay. Cheryl, want to read that motion?
Commissioner McCarthy motion to allow Mr. Reynolds access to the county water system.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
That's all, I'll let Will know, and he'll start working with, Jeff on getting his stuff together and, getting his construction company together that has to dig out the trench and everything.
I'm still no word about down here at the roundabout, huh?
No, they haven't even dropped off any of the equipment. They did pick up the logs though. So I guess they're looking at getting started, but
Yellow folder?
nothing.
Empty yellow folder?
Okay.
Siemens update.
So if you're parked out back, you've seen the new pad that's out there and the 2 chillers that are out there waiting to go on the pad. And the weatherization, people were in starting yesterday, they weatherized the doors. If you look at the doors going out, they've got the weather stripping on with the black, I don't know what you call that stuff. The black sweep. It's like a sweep on it to let the, to stop the draft from going through.
I thought those doors were going to be replaced.
No, only the back doors are. And they're not gonna replace, it's just, they're making it into a handicap accessible one. But I think the doors are staying, I don't think we're getting new doors. It's just the new hardware, the articulating arm that opens them up, and back, they'll have a button that you push for the handicap accessible. I don't think we're getting new doors, I think it's just the hardware to make them handicap accessible.
Yes, sir.
Ken, do we have to put in a speaker system that's handicap accessible on the back? Somebody comes in that's handicapped with this law.
Those doors aren't locked, it's inside doors that are locked. So, and I think, I believe the speaker button is down low now, but they can push it. I'll let that Bob check on that.
Well, it wouldn't be a problem if you had to go inside, I thought they were gonna lock them outside.
No, the indoor vestibule door is locked, not the outside ones.
Are they weatherproofing the indoor ones too?
No. But they are weatherproofing a lot of the windows around, and the building envelope outside. So CCB has moved, well, they're still working a little bit in here, but they're mostly moved down to the jail now, running the Zoom locks and all the, those other pipes. The condensation pipes are running that, down at the jail. They're gonna put a pad down there as well, just like the one out back. I think they're doing that today. They're gonna be here tonight, the weatherization crew, from 4 p.m. until I think 6 a.m. They're gonna be foaming all the windows. So they're doing it at night because there is a distinctive odor to it. And by morning it'll have dissipated by then. So and then we'll work with dispatch to kind of get that done so the odor doesn't bother them as much. That's it for Siemens. Oh, they're starting the roof, I think, next week or the week after.
May I interject at this point? The Lands Committee would like to have the rock off the roof and have it stockpiled out back for their trail system. And I think we need a vote from the commissioners to do that.
Yep.
So on the land, could you make the motion?
Okay, I make a motion that we take the rock off the roof and stockpile it out back for the Lands Committee to use it on the trail system.
I'll second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Any discussion?
Oh, any discussion?
Yes.
Other than sweeping them up and putting them in the truck, there's no value to them, is it?
Crushed stone has a value. I mean, if you were to,
But it's staying here, so we don't have.
Right, we're using it for a county project.
We're using it for a county project.
They were gonna use a vacuum hose, but they can't schedule it at the same time they're doing the roof, so they're doing it by shovel. And so I've already talked to Bob about it, pending this vote, and he's gonna make sure that it's placed out back for you, so.
thank you very much. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Administrator updates?
Don't forget, next week we're up at, we're at the Primex Convention. So we will be gone Tuesday night, Wednesday night, and gone Thursday.
What time do we have to be there on Tuesday?
Anytime.
Oh,
Yep.
so there's no real anything going on Tuesday, that's just.
No, Tuesday, they're having a welcome reception, that's at 6.
So the real answer is, Jerry, you gotta be there at 6.
Yeah.
You were able to figure that one out, huh? Yeah, yeah.
Any other update? Commissioner updates? Mr. Babson, do you have any?
Yes. I was approached by Mr. Drew, speaking of an inquiry, and he wanted to know whether the Boy Scouts could have the pumpkin patch. I said, well, this is my decision, I'm a board of 3. So what do we want to do? My feeling is there's plenty of land around here that they want to put in the garden, plow it up the garden.
So last year, the commissioners put in the budget seeds for the garden, and Willie's purchased the seeds, and he's getting ready to plant them. So I don't want to do that now.
You're talking pumpkin seeds, is that what?
No,
No,
we
no.
decided on a vegetable garden this year.
Some pumpkin, but
Yeah, but overall.
mostly vegetables.
To use at the nursing home.
And were you going to take care of that and be in charge of that vegetable garden like you were the pumpkin garden?
No, I was just gonna put pumpkin patch in.
Or you are putting pumpkins?
I was, depending on the board said.
Did he purchase enough vegetable seeds to plant the whole thing?
Yes, and we used black plastic this year as opposed to last year.
And
So
drip
what do we
irrigation and, the only thing we have to buy is the attachment that you put on where the water comes into the drip tape so that you can put liquid fertilizer in at the same time.
Where are you going to have your pumpkin patch?
Well, I guess I'm not now. We're gonna put a few pumpkin plants in, not like last year, but we're gonna do the vegetables. I just did it last year because it got to be May, in the middle of May, and nobody had done anything with it.
Okay, and then Dale approached you about the Boy Scouts having a pumpkin patch.
No, vegetable garden,
Okay.
where I planted the
What?
pumpkin.
Why don't we have,
We've got enough room, we can
I was
certainly
gonna say, why
plow
don't
and harrow another
why don't we
piece.
put it down next to the blueberries? That way there's water access there, and they're gonna be down there anyways.
Because that's part of a hayfield.
Well, really doesn't hit below the blueberry. So if we do it right below where the young blueberries are, I mean, it can't be bigger than half the size of this room. Willie doesn't hate it, he says it's too wet down at the bottom there.
And they didn't necessarily wanna, Mr. Drew told me they didn't wanna do pumpkins, they wanted to do vegetables and sell them.
So why just have Willie, harrow and rototill it, and
So he wanted a vegetable garden for the Boy Scouts.
Yes, and he asked me about using where I had pumpkins last year. And I told him that it wasn't my decision, it was the board. And I would tell the board today that he was interested in thinking about it. Then I find out Willie's already bought vegetable seeds to put in there, a few pumpkin seeds, but basically, he got what he got, and he's made arrangements with Olivia to put in a few tomato plants. And seems to be plenty. You go out here with a log pile, there's the problem there, there's no water. But, plenty of land.
So I thought, now I'm confused, because I thought they were putting in raised beds for the nursing home out here.
They are.
So we're gonna have 3?
Yeah.
It seems like Amanda didn't even know about this.
Well, I thought they wanted a pumpkin patch, because, and what I told him was, I don't know what David's planning about the pumpkin patch, because we've gotten no plan. We've gotten no plan from anybody at one. Now, I do remember at budget time, we told Will to get seats.
Mhm.
I don't remember what we told him to seats. Do you?
No, I paid for the seat myself the last time. What I'm planning to do this year.
I have no objection to having any kind of public garden. And, if Will has the time and the equipment to plow and harrow and prepare a piece, and any organization comes up with a plan, or a homeowner, anybody in the county wants to use a piece of our land to put a garden on, I have no objections to that. But I would like to have a plan submitted to the commissioners so we know what somebody's anticipating. Did he present a plan to you, or did he just
No, he just called me out of the delegation meeting,
after the delegation?
and pardon me?
Wasn't it after the
Yeah.
delegation?
No, it was right during the delegation meeting.
Oh, I thought it was during the.
Came in, busted in and said, I need to talk to you while somebody else was discussing something on the floor with the delegation, and I got up and went out, showed him, and then I came back in after.
I just heard about it from Dave.
Um,
My famous statement last year, because they call it winter squash, that doesn't mean you plant it until the first. We're now headed, same situation as last year. We're headed to the 1st of June and nobody's done anything. So I figured I'd put pumpkins in as soon as it was dry enough to plow.
When does Will intend to till it?
Huh?
Till what? I guess I'll do it this week, but now everything's up in the air, so I'm not sure what we're doing.
Well, if he's got a plan that you approved of, I see no reason why you shouldn't continue. If somebody else wants another piece, we can put one in. I agree.
I agree.
Okay. Then just plan as usual.
Twice.
One day.
Yeah. But I want to see, I want somebody, I don't care if it looks, like this, and they got corn here and carrots here, something like that. I want a plan. I want.
So, this is what you guys wanted.
A community type guy.
Last year you said, when we were at when we were at the subcommittee meeting, oh, we want, Will to have a garden, and that's why I'm like, okay. And so he bought the seeds, and I don't know what he bought, I guess I can find out and have him tell me where he's gonna put them, and then we can give it to you.
Oh, I just came up with something, a bad thought. Maybe it's a good thought though. Is he going to have enough people to take care of that garden out there? I mean, he's putting in black plastic and stuff, so
Right.
he's gonna have time and enough people to get it all planted?
That's
Or
what he
would
said.
he like the Boy Scouts to assist with the upkeep of that garden?
Kinda killed two birds with one stone. Well, what about the produce though? We're gonna split it, or?
They'll have to be.
No, jeez.
Well, the black plastic, you have to invest some time into setting it up, but once you get it set up, it isn't gonna be like last year when we had to
We,
get the pumpkin.
Weeds are this
Get the
tall.
pumpkin detective out there to find them in the weeds, so.
the Boy Scouts have the contract for the blueberries. And they have basically gotten all kinds of stuff donated. And they supplied the labor for the blueberries. So if the county supplies the seed and the whatever, and the black plastic, and then the Boy Scouts do the planting and taking care of it, I don't know though, because Will has a destination for that product, right?
Yeah.
What's his destination for
NBC
the nursing home?
and the jail. I'll go to the nursing home, but it will end up in the jail too.
And they probably want their own so that they can make some money on it and see how the, hard work pays off. And I don't know if that's what he has in mind, but as a lesson for the boys, I don't know.
Although I've driven by the blueberry, doesn't look like you've been doing anything down there.
They've been down there a couple of,
Because there's still a big heap and a sawdust still in the middle of it.
but they've been down there a couple of
Have they?
times,
Okay.
I think.
Because
I'm not sure what they've
Getting
done.
in the middle of May, they should be fertilizing and trimming.
What's going to go on with the ones here? Who's
Well,
doing that?
That's the second thing I was going to ask about today. They would like to put, they have bought, now this is, we'll put that on hold for a second. They have the Lands Committee has gotten volunteer companies to volunteer to donate materials to put in raised gardens, and they would like permission to do it along the corner, right here, opposite the nursing home. You walk across, there's the round garden for the veterans, and then that corner right there, they would like to put some raised gardens both to the right and to the left. I don't know, not very far, but they'd like to put them in there and have the kids from the schools and the after-school programs come and work with the people in the nursing home that would like to go out and have raised gardens and put vegetables and flowers. But that's not a Boy Scout thing, that's the Lands Committee would like to do that. Well, they would involve the school kid age to work with the residents in the nursing. And I talked with Patty Kane, and she said that their activities committee already does a couple of raised gardens, and that more would be, fine, as long as, there's some continuing summer project to take care of it. But I didn't want to give, say okay until I brought that plan to the commissioners to see if that would be acceptable. So that is the second question that I had today, was about how do you feel about them having some raised gardens out here, just on that corner. They would take, there actually isn't a parking spot there now, because of the there's an open square, and they would put a ramp for the wheelchairs to get up.
So is it on the walkway and building side, or is it in the parking lot side?
It's on,
On the grass?
yeah, but it's grass now.
Okay.
They would put them in,
Oh,
and then they're raised so they can get to them with a
wheelchair off the sidewalk?
Right.
Okay.
And depending upon, they may have to actually put a little walk, or put a stone dust or something down for the wheelchairs.
Mm.
But that grass looked to me like probably wheelchairs could move on it, because the residents come out, according to Patty Kane, the residents, if they come out with an LNA that's there to help and assist and all of that, so. But I would like permission from the commissioners for the land committee to go ahead and do that. David?
I have one question. Yes, it sounds wonderful to have the kids in with the old people, and the old people enjoyed it. The kids, I don't know what they do, but don't forget this is summer months and school vacation, and there's no organization. They're not in the classroom, and the teacher can't say, okay, today we're going over to the nursing home. It'd be helter-skelter, older, and I don't believe it would work. I don't think that means that we shouldn't have a raised bed there. I think that's just including the kids. If it works, it works, but I don't think it would.
Well, the Ossipee Recreational Department has committed 1 day a week, I think, to bringing they have a little van or something that they transport the kids to bring them over. So, but the Lands Committee
Well,
would
if they do
be
it through
ultimate.
that takes care of my concern that there's no organization for the summer, if the recreation department's going.
And I think they're talking with the Wakefield Rec Department, whether or not how far they've gotten or not. And I think Conway has a rec department also. But it's a little long trip for Conway. So what I would ask the commission is to just give their permission to put in the raised gardens, and there's no cost to the county for this one.
Well, as you would say, Madam Chairman, I'd like a plan. Are they gonna be 4 foot by 12 foot and 2 foot high, or are they gonna be 4 foot by 24 feet? Can we get the snow blowing apparatus around them in the winter? There's lots of questions.
And I have told them if we approved them to go ahead, that it would have to be a plan in writing with diagrams.
Okay.
So, but that's a lot of, they would want to do all that unless the commissioners were going to be in favor.
Great idea.
But nothing gets started until they give a plan and we approve
I'll
it.
reserve my decision till when I see the plan.
All right. So can I say that the commissioners,
If it's a good plan, I will support it, if it's a good plan.
the commissioners will give their permission for them to submit a plan in writing? That sound good?
Yeah.
Okay. All those in favor, that's it.
Aye.
Okay. We'll call that non-committal. Okay. David, go ahead with your update now.
Okay, last week you asked me to bring in my reasons why we didn't need a HR person. I've got a copy for each one of you here somewhere.
But I thought we already voted to hire an HR person.
You asked me last week to write my reasons for not hiring
I
an
think you
HR
did.
person down. And here they are.
Okay.
And I'd like to know, when I'm done, what your reasons are for hiring one. You read to me what was the job description of a HR person that I suspect was lifted off of a combination of job sites. But I'd like to know what has gone wrong here, so wrong in the last 2 years, that we need to hire one. So, go ahead.
Did you bring a copy for the records, or is that the only copy
You
I
can
have?
you can have mine after you
Okay.
read me. The reason we don't need a HR person, and I said right now, we may need one in the future, but I don't think we need one right now. Since we hired Jesse to handle payroll, the number of employees coming to complain about their paycheck has dropped drastically. I can't give you numbers, but over the 7 years I've been here, every other day after payday, people were marching in here because the code was wrong or whatever. And that's been taken care of. We have no grievances, we've had no grievances since we placed an employee relations person in Mountain View community. That's my assumption. We haven't heard of any. Commissioners have a fixed policy have fixed policy changes where needed. Example is the hiring policy. You know, it was said somewhere along the line, either in a delegation meeting or that guy from Concord's comments that we need a hiring, we need to have an HR person to help write policies. Well, we've done pretty well here so far. There's been a problem with posting of employment openings. We fixed that with a policy change. The cost of an HR person is too expensive. If we pay somebody $60,000, that's really, and the cost is $100,000. If we pay them $80,000, that's $120,000. Our current HR people can easily establish what the going rate of pay is for current jobs. With another squat that in an email that we all got, that professional people around here aren't getting paid as much as people that don't have professional degrees. I don't believe that. I think the county is, taxpayers should have the best person for the job, whether they've got a doctorate or whether they dropped out of high school. Exit interviews are a no-brainer. We should have a person in Mountain View trained to conduct them, and we don't. Now, I'd like to know why that's the same list you had from last week, which was the job description. Where have we, what has gone wrong? Do you think we have to have one? Well, you can discuss mine. Okay.
David, last week we voted to hire an HR person. We understand and we noted your objections. But I believe that we also are moving forward to set up hiring an HR person. We need to set up a job description, and those comments might be very helpful in setting up a job description for an HR person.
So you have no reason, Madam Chairman, for voting for an HR person other than what the person could do? Why? Yes, we voted that way, and I voted against it. But you haven't given us any reason why we need one. You've given us a job description, but what's failed around here in the last 2 years?
David, you're entitled to your questions, but we already have voted to go ahead and hire an HR director. We're going forward to hire an HR director. Today, I asked each of you and Commissioner McCarthy, to bring in things to put on a job description for an HR person.
No, you did not. You asked me to bring in my reasons why we didn't need one, and that's exactly what I did.
Well, and we will use those reasons as part of making the HR job description. But I think we need to move forward to hire the HR director as we voted. I think also that we need to determine how we're going to go about hiring one. I think one of these municipal hiring, what do you call them? They call them headhunters, I guess, is probably the way that we should go. That's my opinion. But I think those are the things that we should be taking our time to discuss today, is the HR director's job description and how we're going to go about hiring, whether we're going to follow the hiring policy of having 2 commissioners on a committee to hire, or if we hire a headhunting company to do it for us. Because those are what I think that we should be discussing.
If I,
Yes, Terry.
I think because of the circumstances that's happening within the county and commissioners and different investigations that are going on, that it should be, at this point in time, an outside person, because there's too much going on, and I don't think that we should commissioners should be taking part in that at this point in time.
The hiring
The
HR
hiring
director.
Yes.
Yes, David?
Terry, are you saying we should hire somebody from within, or we shouldn't hire an outside
No,
agency to?
An outside agency to, yes, so that none of us are involved in the actual hiring. Yeah,
Well,
that's what I
You're
think.
gonna be involved, I mean, you're the ones who.
Eventually, but I think in the, you know,
I mean,
and anybody that's in-house can apply. I have no problems with that whatsoever. But I just think that, without saying too much, that some of us can't be involved because of things that are going on, and some other people here that in the building can't be involved. So that's the way I feel. So I think the best thing is just to have a non-partial person from outside.
For an HR director, I mean, I think that's too costly.
I don't know what the cost would be.
It's expensive.
$5,000 to $6,000, which if we get a proper one, I think that's minor. Because, David, you agreed that you were on part of the hiring of the last one, and it was not a good thing.
No, I never said anything like that, Madam Chairman. We had a committee, and I don't want to go into it, but I never ever said it was poorly run. I think it was very, very well run, in fact. I don't know where you ever got that idea.
You said it was unsuccessful, it was a poor choice.
Well, I think the end result was, yeah, but that doesn't mean, you just sat here and said the process was wrong, that I said the process was wrong. I did not say the process was wrong. The process was fine.Id I like the choice? No.
Well, you're not gonna like the choice in this one either.
Well, I might, but whether we need it or not is still up for grabs. But, you know, that doesn't mean that if there's 3 people we're interviewing, that I'm not gonna do the best I can to make sure that we hire the best one out of the group. I may disagree whether we need them or not, but I'm not stupid enough to say, well, let's get a bad one just so we fail.
There is one in Center Harbor, Meredith.
MRI,
Oh, that's
municipal
MRI?
resource, yeah.
That's what they call MRI?
Yeah,
Okay.
and you're gonna find, I think, $5,000 is involved.
Resources.
And what about the Association of Counties? Do they not have anything like that either? They don't. I think they.
Is there any other agencies like that except for MRI in the county or in the state?
It's the only one I know of. But I don't know why everyone's talking about hiring someone from outside to do it. I don't know what the so-called people in the building can't do something. I don't know what that even means. I mean, we're looking for an HR director. That's gonna be paid, what, $72,000? I mean, it's not rocket science. I mean, you're just interviewing people.
Yeah, well, for some reason, our hiring hasn't been all that successful, you know? That's why I think this is a very
I don't
serious...
understand why you can say that. Hasn't been successful. We have staff everywhere. I don't understand what that means.
Well, in the past 2 years, the people that have been hired and have left that have been associated with HR are numerous.
Well, everyone wants more money, and no one wanted to pay it at the time. I mean, the last HR director was making $60,000.
I don't think, I'm not qualified to hire a person to do this. I think this is a position that's very important. I think the past 2 years without having one has shown that it's really a vital part of any organization, and certainly part of this one. You know, without broaching on non-public things, I think it's fair to say that the need is the audit, the performance audit, saw also that agreed with me and Commissioner McCarthy that there is a need for an HR director. And I think it needs to be an unbiased person that chooses who, or maybe chooses 2 or 3 candidates, and the commissioners can then decide from them who to choose. And I see no reason that anybody that's employed here can't apply just like any other job. But I think an outside agency would be far more open-minded and know far more what qualifications and what the needs would be.
So you just signed a hiring policy that doesn't even say that in there.
That doesn't say what.
That you can go outside and you know, and hire a company to choose it for you. It says, you know, where's the one that says you have to have that?
Department heads.
So you,
Yeah,
department heads, you have a
Department of
committee.
Hire shall automatically enact a hiring committee consisting of 2 county commissioners, the county administrator, an HR representative, another county department head of the same occupation, and a supervisor of the hiring department. You do what you want, but you're already going against your policy. I don't.
We don't have an HR director to put on that committee, and
It
that's
didn't say HR director.
well, it should say. I thought it did.
HR representative.
Should be director.
I don't know. When are you gonna get $6,000?
It's hard because we can't discuss this at this point in time, our reasonings. But I think it's at least, we should get quotes on how much it will cost and what the process is. I don't have any objections to doing that. I think we should do that. And maybe the other things will be resolved.
So can we put out an RFP
For what?
for an HR director? No, for a firm, an outside agency to hire an HR director. That's not
To hire or to help us hire?
To help us
to
hire.
help, to assist. To assist in the hiring.
And, Madam Chair, where would, if we decide to go down that road, where does that money come from? Do we have the availability of that amount of money?
No.
Well, I'm sure if you can find $80,000 to do a parking lot, you can find $6,000 to assist with the hiring of an HR.
Well, you're gonna have to transfer the money, that's all.
I'm not sure what line that would come out of. Fees and
Special
services?
fees.
Special fees and services would be the line for that. My question is, if there's more than one agency within a distance that would have people, that's why I was hoping there'd be more in the state of New Hampshire.
I don't know. You're gonna have to go out for RFP if it's over 5. Or RFQ or whatever. 'Cause I'm guessing 3 of you aren't gonna agree on that. I don't know, I'm just guessing.
There's plenty of employment agencies around.
So if we wrote an RFP, we ought to get more than one response, don't you think?
I would think so.
Can I offer a suggestion?
Yes, sir.
Maybe you should look more into municipal resources, because municipal government is totally different than HR in the outside world. I think you'd be better suited to go with a municipal agency. Because you're apt to get someone who's worked in a town or a county, maybe even, to help with this.
David?
Can I ask Ken a question?
Certainly.
Do you think, Ken, that there's that big a difference between being an HR director in a company that employs 100 or 200 people and a municipal or a county that hires 300?
Yeah, because of the New Hampshire retirement, I think that's a big part.
Okay.
Plus, they gotta understand government CBAs as opposed to, it's just a regular, well, you wouldn't have a collective bargaining agreement. Well, yeah, I guess you would, if you were in the private sector.
I
There are
don't
some
see the
RSAs.
change. I don't see the difficulty if you get
I'm just saying, there is a difference. And if you can get one, then I think that's even better. There's less of a learning curve. And they're more apt to understand the retirement system. That's a very difficult, RSA to understand.
So with this municipal resource,
I don't know what the I stands for, I don't know.
okay,
Incorporation, I don't know.
could we invite them to come in and explain the process and what they have to offer? And then if the three of us agree, we wouldn't have to go out to bid, right?
Right. I mean, if you want to get technical, it's a service, so you don't really have to go out to 5,000 on a service. Because they're not really giving you anything, they're just providing a service, so it's not like, they're gonna buy, an air conditioning unit for the roof. But again, you want to probably try to be as transparent as you can.
Well, that's why I was thinking, if they came in and they explained to us how they do it and what they do and all of that, and then if we agreed upon it, they could go forward and do it, and if we still think it needs to go out to bid, we can do that also.
When we set that up for the 22nd? I mean, we're doing a lot on the 22nd, but, or you want to wait till the 29th?
No, I think the 22nd, the sooner the better,
Yeah, okay.
actually.
Maybe we can push some of the other stuff off if it's too much. Like the sick buyback policy and some of the other stuff would be.
Does that sound all right to you?
I think it's fine. I would like to listen to what they have to say and see what the process is.
Would you like to listen to them, David?
Yes.
Okay. Most agreed. So I have already contacted them once before. Remember when I called to find out about a bid or something about what it would cost? Or was that something else? That may have been something else. But anyway,
I don't remember the board ever saying that.
so they would be aware that, they've been contacted before. And I didn't realize that was MRI. I thought that was something different. But anyways.
Maybe you were checking on biosolids and wood ash.
That's RMI.
That's right, that's RMI.
Could be. Most anything's possible.
I'll be around.
Okay, so Ken, you're going to set up an appointment
Yep,
for
on
May
22nd.
22nd. All right. Now, where are we? David, we're still on your commissioner update.
Yep, I have one more.
Okay.
Last week, county attorney sent down a bill and you and Joe approved it for payment, and right on top of it, it says in big letters, this is not a bill. Why did you approve it?
Joe has the backup for that.
If I may, Commissioner,
Um,
can you chair?
no.
Okay.
And the reason being that it was agreed by the commissioners that financial things from the county attorney's office would go through the treasurer and the commissioners and go to the bookkeeper. Apparently, that is not what has happened here. And I would like the process followed. If the commissioners and the bookkeeper and the treasurer have a problem, then the procedure for finding out what needs to be done. If this is something that has to have a question from the auditors, I'm sure the treasurer can call the auditors for such information. I don't think that's something to be brought up in a public meeting. Cheryl, you have a comment?
Yes, I just wanted to say to you that the process was followed. I feel like, you know, I was being accused of not following the process, which hasn't been explained to me. So whatever the process is should be written down and given to me so I can do it properly if you think I'm not.
It was in the notes,
Well, I don't have
that
any
you
of those
printed up.
notes.
You
Nobody
printed-
gave it to me. It was 3 weeks before you told me that I wasn't allowed to contact the county attorney anymore and that it was going through Joe. But that was just, I need it written down. If this is a policy, if this is a procedure, whatever you call it.
David, in the minutes that you took of that meeting, did you put that in the minutes?
I don't think I took that meeting down. That was a long time ago.
Well, you guys were in non-public and asked Ken and I to leave. I don't know what came out of that
You took
meeting.
The minutes. Were
But-
those sealed? No, those weren't sealed, I don't think. But anyways, all
I
right.
hope not.
But that went through, if I can just
Yes.
explain, that went through, I don't know how it came to you people, but it did. You had it, then he had it, and you guys all approved it, said it was okay to go. So where am I supposed to go when there's something in there that I can't pay because of our other policies? What am I supposed to do with that?
Take it to the treasurer,
Okay, so once a week. So I did give it to Joe.
okay? And he has
So what
taken
part?
care of it.
What part didn't we follow? What part of your new process didn't we follow? Seems I don't know the process, but, so if you could correct me, tell me what should have been done.
Well, more people saw that than should have seen that.
It's public information. If it's on my desk, Ken is my boss.
And I'll look at any invoice that comes through the office at any time.
I believe that that was one of the agreements of the commissioners.
But what are they?
was
How are we
that it
supposed
would go
to
you.
comply if we don't know what it is?
Well, I've told you, and I'm sure David has
No, all you
you.
told me is she'll give it to Joe. That's all you
And
said.
goes to you. Yes, David?
Can you tell me, Madam Chairman, why a bill that comes to this county you think is private information and shouldn't go to the public? It isn't a medical record, it isn't a criminal record, it isn't anything. All I wanted to know is why you two approved paying a thing that says in big letters across the top, this is not a bill. Why would you pay one that says this is not a bill?
I don't even know what you're talking about.
No, you didn't say it.
So I guess the commissioners haven't seen it yet.
I saw it, I believe.
And maybe there's a good reason to pay for it, but when I'm doing the bills and I see something that says this is not a bill, do not pay, or whatever it says, I wouldn't pay it.
There has been no check ever written for this. This was just an okay that was passed on to the treasurer from the commissioners.
Okay, so it got the okay, now the checks, what are you gonna do? Take it again and look at it and say, okay, it's different now, I'm gonna rip the check up?
No, Cheryl and the treasurer are finding out what the process was, that the policy that this was an objection to, which I believe they did, and I believe Joe found the missing piece of information so that the check may be written. If not, I'm sure that Cheryl and Joe are capable of figuring out what else is necessary.
Okay.
Where's the policy?
I don't know, Cheryl had was quoting a policy, so I don't know.
Well, you said it was a policy.
That's what I said.
Well, where is it?
No, I didn't say change. I said that Cheryl said there was a policy that objected to that material. She needed more. and I believe Joe has supplied the more.
I said the auditors require. It's not a policy, it's the auditors.
Well, we have a policy on the payment of invoices.
Right.
So
But
that's
the
the
thing is,
policy.
it was already approved by you and Joe, because it was given to me and said, good to go. So I should have just paid that because you guys said, okay. But I can't do that. I have to do my job to the best of my ability
Exactly,
in
and
the
that's why
correct way.
you kicked it back to Joe, and Joe found what was
But this has been
necessary.
through 3 people and shows up on my desk and says, pay it. How does it get through 3 people without somebody catching the fact that, yeah, there's something connected to it that says invoice and there's no amount on it?
If it had been a check for me to sign, and the proper attached material was not there, I would not have signed it. It did not come as that. It came as a piece of information to be passed on to the treasurer, to go to you, to make up. And you said, no, I don't have enough information. You gave it back to Joe. He has now got the proper amount of information, I believe. And that's the procedure that should be followed.
If I may, Madam Chair,
Yes.
not about this particular invoice, but I do agree that we have to make sure that we're following the issues for the auditors. And that may be the sticking point at the moment, because I do not have the answer from the auditor. But I will obtain that before we go forward.
And that's what I would expect you would do, long before I even see a check to sign.
Yeah.
But once, if it's, I guess I really just need that, whatever your procedure is, because I don't understand. From what I gathered from the little bits that were told to me, was that I would get those, they would be all approved to cut checks. So this is just making it a terrible, long process to get a bill paid. If you guys are approving it though, it should be ready for me to cut a check.
Right. But I have to say that because of your expertise, Cheryl, you brought up the issue of I'm not sure we can do this way because of the auditors, and I agree with you. So that's what sort of dragged this out at the moment. We gotta talk to the auditors and make sure that this is okay to do. What I'm understanding of this policy is the bills come into the commissioners, or in this case,
Bills come in to me.
well, the commissioner gets this bill, passes it to me. After they've approved it, I look at it, and it seems okay to me, then I give it to you. In this particular instance, this one was kind of unique because of the way it was written, I'll say. And I understand the way it was written, although I'm not going to discuss it at the moment. So now we come to the issue of making sure that it satisfies the auditors, and that's why I look to you, Cheryl, because you're the expert on satisfying the auditors too. So once we get the answer from the auditor, yeah, we'll get it taken care of and resolved. But I think this one was just a fall-de-wall, if you will, of the things that we needed to do with it. It's not a major issue in the bill itself, because it's certainly something that needs to be done. So,
Yes,
Are we talking about the reimbursement
no,
no,
thing?
we haven't even gotten there yet.
Compared to the
nope.
This was,
authorization thing?
this
Okay.
was, this
So I have
was,
no clue as what's going on. so-
this was some
That's okay.
paperwork that was passed to me, that I passed on to Joe. And what it said was, this is not a bill on it. And I guess the policy says that it has to be accompanied with an invoice. So the statement, whatever that, why it wasn't, I don't know. That's not my expertise. I'm not a bookkeeper, so.
May I just,
They are, so it's their expertise,
may I
yes.
just clear this piece up, so, because I want to make sure everybody's on the same page and understanding. And it will entail me just discussing this briefly.
Okay.
Okay, so what we have, so Commissioner Babson and Commissioner McCarthy knows, we have an invoice or notification of payment for New Hampshire court rules. Now, this is something that certainly is needed. Unfortunately, the company that we get this from provides an invoice with no amount on it. So that's the issue that we need to discuss with the auditor. However, the notice, if you will, has the amount on it. And as you look at the notice, it also has account numbers that match the account numbers on the invoice. The problem is, the invoice does not have a dollar figure. And so therefore, yes, this is a unique situation. We're gonna get an answer from the auditor to see Further, I'm also gonna call the company and ask them about this, because there's a name here to talk to them about it. So unfortunately, I can't use my phone because I'm not allowed to get reimbursed for it, so I'll use the county phone to call them.
It's a little jab.
Yeah. My point
It's
is,
contagious.
I think we got it all
I
taken
swear.
care of and resolved. We'll just get the details.
So it's nothing that anybody did wrong, it's
No.
just something in the paper.
This document does say at the top of it, this is not a bill.
Yep.
And I can certainly understand Commissioner Babson's question, why are we paying something that says it's not a bill? The answer to that is, attached to it is an invoice with the account numbers, but no dollar amount. Which then involves, we gotta talk to the auditors to make sure this is okay. But I'm gonna take it a step further and call the company and say, look, you want us to pay this, put the dollar amount on your invoice. End of story.
Simple solution.
Right.
That took 20 minutes of discussion. Anything else on commissioner updates, Mr. President?
No, that's it. Thank you for that answer.
Commissioner McCarthy, do you have any updates?
I do. I would like to talk about the email or the letter that we all got from that fellow or that guy from and I'm sorry.
It's okay. I'm just gonna cry. It's all right.
I don't see any reason why we shouldn't have the answers to all these things. I agree with you, David, we should be able to answer them. So I don't know if this should be a non-public, because there's things that I would like to see, and it does concern employees, so I think that's totally up to what you guys think we should do. But I would like to, and that was my question when we had that 91A request on all the different departments, people. There were controllers and finance managers and bookkeepers, and they were kind of all over the place. And I know you explained it to me, it gets half and half. But I would like to know when the, because sometimes they're referred to as a controller, and sometimes they're referred to the finance manager. What is the actual job that they do? And if it was started out as controller, when was this person promoted or moved to a finance manager, which from my understanding has not been in the budget since we lost the other finance manager, is that correct?
No, that's not correct.
So that's what I need to know, I need to understand all this.
So on May 24th, 2017, the commissioners voted to reorganize the finance office. And it was Kathy will assume all the finance duties as the controller. Cheryl will become a bookkeeper and take Kathy's duties. And we would hire an administrative assistant to take over Cheryl's duties. That was voted May 24th, 2017. So Kathy had a three-month probation, which we got 6 weeks, and Amanda motioned to end her probation and to give her the full title of finance director at that time.
No, full pay.
Yeah, sorry, full
Not
pay
that-
for.
No, because there was no title. We had a big time about the title.
Right, yeah, she didn't, she wanted to be called the controller and,
So now her title is finance manager.
because it's so confusing for everybody, it's just finance director and finance manager.
That's all, I just wanted to clarify.
And that came out of where? Nowhere.
Well, that came out of everyone, everyone barraging her about not being a finance manager, so, which she is. And always has been for the last 2 years. And I am notified, under the commissioner's request, that I notified Chairman Mark McConkie on July 13th of that change, which I did, and apparently he didn't pull it on to anybody.
Oh, that was before me, right?
Yeah, but I'm just saying, I notified
Yeah.
the delegation about all the changes that we were making.
And so, the next one, and I've heard is causing a little bit of a commotion, is that the finance managers,
Well, we need to, if we're talking about her,
That's
we
why
need to
you
go
need to-
non-public.
not going non-public, okay, that's fine.
Well, you're talking about a job description. That can be in public,
Well, it
right?
all depends on if you're talking about other things in that job description.
Yeah.
Do we have a job description for that?
Well, we always have, yeah.
And then I
We
would,
did the promotion.
I would like to, if I could get all that paperwork, Kim, so that I just know in my own mind what's going on.
Sure.
And then also, the ACS system.
Yep.
I'd like to get the actual cost, because I know in the delegation meeting, you said 20,000, and I knew you were just over exaggerating.
I'm not over exaggerating.
To put all the department heads online so they can.
It's Thursday, August 20th, 2015, Glenn Cordell received an email from ACS.
Okay.
And I guess you forgot all about this. Talking about putting everyone on the ACS system.
Yep.
And getting the purchase model. And it was $22,775 for year one. And this was a 6-year agreement that went up to $26,159 after the 6 years. Also, we went with either 5 users, or this one is for 15 users.
So how many users do we actually need? If it's just department heads, how many do you need?
Well, every department is 15 departments. Activities, dietary, maintenance, housekeeping, nursing, admin, and then you got the jail, you got, then you got the county attorney's office, victim witness, deeds, sheriff, dispatch, finance.
Well, I would, I don't know, I think that's a lot.
That's what I said. I've been saying that right along.
But I would assume a department head, I know in nursing home they have all these departments, but if Howie got this, then
Well,
why
that-
can't he send it out to his department heads? that are
Paula
under
has,
him?
Paula
Paula.
has access.
Okay,
And myself, Kathy, and Cheryl for accounts payables and all that stuff. Jessica had it for payroll, but we don't have payroll anymore, so. So we currently have 5 seats right now.
Who's the fifth one?
Paula, myself, Kathy, Cheryl, and maybe it is still Jess. So those are the 5.
and how much does that cost right now?
Right now it's, just looked at it yesterday. It's like $7,900, $7,900
Each of them total.
total.
Oh, that's not so much.
For 5 of them?
Yeah, or 4. I'm not sure if we got 5 or 4. I have to check.
Okay. So, there's no way that Paula can then send out to all her department heads their part of the budget?
Yeah, she does right now, yeah.
Okay, so they don't have to be on there. They don't have to be on this, is that what I'm?
That's not what I took. I took every department head had to have access, so that's why I'm saying there's a lot of departments.
View access. View access.
Yeah. Just
View, it doesn't matter, it's the same cost.
right.
Well, but I think they should only have view access.
Oh, yeah, they can't enter
Right,
anything.
right, enter or, so, over here, we're only looking at, I mean, if you put Jason on there, which, Jason, and, what about Dominic, what about their department, are they?
Yeah, it says the sheriff, dispatch, so both Dominic and Mike would have to have access.
So in the letter that Glenn got, what was the quote for the 15?
And Michaela, and,
The quote for the 15?
$22,775 for the first year.
But
And-
that includes the purchase model.
Yes, and
What would it
years,
be without the purchase? without the purchase model, just,
I don't know.
just for the access?
I don't know, I don't know. Year 6 is 26,000, so there's a $4,000 difference in the years.
And that includes a purchasing module?
Yes. Now, and that's on the ACS 400 server.
But we're not anywhere near that, we're still exploring.
Well, hold on. Let me show you what the difference is. So then we add 11 seats, okay? And the one bless you, and the one I gave out back in December, January to the delegation on this, that in year 1, 11 seats plus the accounts payable and the purchasing order is $19,523. Because it's in the cloud. So it's actually cheaper because they don't have to put it on the server.
And that's with 11 seats?
Yes.
And 11, does that 11 include Cheryl and?
Yes.
Okay.
So we'll be adding what, 7?
Yeah.
8, 6, 7?
4?
5 and 4 is not 11.
No, I was gonna say, you have 5 now, and I think if you just added Jason and.
So they add 6 more.
Yeah.
So Ken, what does that include? That includes the accounts
Payable and the purchase order.
and the purchase?
Oh.
Okay.
And in year 3, that would be $20,985. And of course, both requires training. The outright purchase, the purchase order model is $3,600. That's what it is. So it's 36 less 22 is, what is that? 17,000 for 15 seats.
So it's only,
18, 19, 20, 21. It's $19,000 for 15 seats.
would it be possible to get copies of both of those? I know one's Glenn's email, but still, you
I
can
mean, you know,
have copies of those to look at them, because this looks to me like it's only gonna be $12,000 difference and we get the purchase model too.
that's what I've been saying.
Well, you said 20 the other day, and
Well, because you've gotta add in 1,500 for the hosting option. And then you gotta add another 620 for 2 hours of training.
but don't we already pay the hosting?
No. No. Hosting would be on the cloud. That's like they would, you know, that's the where they add everything up. Here you go.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, you know, I was close.
So this was to Glenn in 2015, and this was to you in,
No, that was to Kathy.
when, 2018?
Right. Which I supplied to the delegation, and I supplied it to you guys, because we talked about it.
I don't remember, but
When
there
we
are a
talked
lot of
about
things
going into the
around
cloud.
here that are
Yeah.
contagious, and that seems to be one of them. So for you, I mean, I understand these 5 are active memberships, but the other
It's the same cost, whether you can add,
would be view only.
yep, the same cost, you have access to it. But I don't think, you know, they'd have to have access to the PO system, you know, if they want to order anything. Because if you buy something, you're gonna have to create a PO in order for it to be paid.
Yeah, but we're still,
So this included the PO system?
Yeah,
That's, yeah.
and
because it's on the cloud, we don't have to buy anything. I think that's where the savings is.
is Seth aware of this PO system?
Yeah. Yeah, we've been talking about it.
Because I know he's beginning to investigate it. So
Yeah,
that's-
and he and Kathy are gonna be talking to
Yeah.
Avenue. He talked to Kathy the other day to set up a time when they can give Avenue a call.
Well, that's gonna take some time to digest all that.
Yes, I mean, that's something that's gonna happen overnight.
David, have you seen these?
Pardon me?
Have you seen these?
I don't believe so.
I don't, but I can certainly give you a copy.
Yeah, if you would, that'd be great. And you've already, and my other thing was, the sick time buybacks, and you've already
Yep.
started a thing on that,
Yep.
so wait to see what happens with that. What else? Well, the bank reconciliations, I know, hopefully once you get your person down there. Have we had any updates on that, by the way?
Yep, I'm coming to today.
Oh, okay. And what else? Is there anything, David, that you had? I know you were looking at this.
On what?
On all
Some
the,
guy's email.
some guy's email.
Oh,
Jeez. I don't know, I missed it.
since the
Representative
chairman
Cordeli's.
wanted to shut me off when I had this, when I wanted to talk about it, I'll keep my mouth shut.
Who did?
When did you want to talk about it?
I started in about it when, way back, when that guy from Encrypted, and you told me not to talk about it.
No, I said not to be snide. I didn't know you
I
had.
think when you reach the point, Madam Chairman, when you don't stand up to your employees, that
Did you want the email too, that I sent to the delegation?
Oh, did I see that? Did you send it to me?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
And I have another one on my,
Well, I'm not finished yet,
oh,
David.
I'm sorry.
Well, he wasn't apparently finished with his either, so I'm sorry, I got ahead. Go
Okay,
ahead.
I'd also like to know, for department heads, who approves their raises and all their sick pay buyouts?
The department head?
Yeah, because I saw on one that I thought looked a little, because you, administrator, signed off for the controller, and then the controller signed off for the administrator.
Yep.
I didn't think that was quite copacetic, but,
Well, it goes to payroll, and it,
right.
whatever
So
time
who-
is taken, is taken.
So who's, yeah. But on that list that I had, it showed who approved. So
Yeah.
those are the general ones that have the, so we should put that in the policy when we
Yeah.
have to approve by.
Yep.
Okay. So those
Because, I mean,
came to the
I
commissioners?
can't approve myself.
Didn't
Right.
those come to the commissioner? Just the total money?
Yeah.
And where did that, if it's, I didn't see that in the budget anywhere. So where is that, where does that money come out of? Does that just come out?
Salary lines.
I just saw the salary line just lumped
Yep.
into the salary
Yes.
lines.
Oh, it's not lumped in, it's
Well, yeah, but
Right.
all the admin salaries are all together.
it's
I would,
budgeted.
I would like to see them all broken out. When, in the budget, so we know
Oh, I
who's getting what.
I gave everyone all my breakouts.
So, I just think it's easier for us.
Controller, bookkeeper, mine.
Oh, yeah, you gave it, yeah, on the other one that we got, yeah.
Madam Chairman.
Yes, David.
Along that line, Terry, maybe I'm wrong, but do we vote in individual for pay raise? No, but we sit here and discuss, this year we're gonna give the non-union employees X amount
Right.
of, so we do
2%.
vote on it, but not,
But I saw,
not individually.
well, there was a lot on there that were individually in the past couple of years. It wasn't just a straight 2% across the board.
No, some comes, there have been some adjustments made,
Yeah.
like, well, I'm not gonna
So,
mention names.
no, we can't. So does that go just to you, or does that go to
No,
us?
that's,
That goes to us.
and one, I didn't even have anything to even do with it. It just came up.
Did we vote on the 2%?
Yeah, it was in the budget. If you didn't, how'd it get in the budget?
Okay. That's
I
all.
don't
I'll
remember
save
voting
mine.
on that.
I'll save the rest of mine for public.
Okay.
I'm done.
Okay. David, what did you have to add? You said there was one you hadn't.
Yes, I'd like to bring up paying Conway again and make a motion that we pay Conway. This is just going round and round and round on whose fault it is. let's get it over with. I'll make a motion that we pay Conway the money we owe, that the government sent to us for the pilot program. For the pilot payment.
I've been getting a lot of heat on that also, and I know that.
You can't talk about it unless you get a second.
Okay. I'll second for discussion. I know it's gone to Jean Shaheen.
Really?
Yeah.
I took it there. I took
Oh.
it there. I had
I know,
him
but
go
now-
and look at it.
I know, but now it's going again because it hasn't been paid. So I don't know how that, who did that, who sent that to her, but I got an email from Mr. Henderson. So I think we've either got to make a decision, no or yet, and make it final, so they stop kind of asking us what's going on.
I don't think it's our money to be giving away. David?
Yeah, when did you get an email from Chuck? I talked to him on Saturday night.
I don't know
Was
when,
it since then, or was it before?
I don't remember.
He has talked to the Department of Interior and they told him
But
the money went where it was supposed to go.
That's right.
So, I mean, we've either got to stick to that and make a vote and say no, and send them a letter and say, this is our final answer, you are not, so that it just stops going around and around. That would be my, you know?
Did you find that from Chuck?
No, I didn't know if I'll find it for you.
Okay.
Or, you know, I just, that way, hopefully, you know, it'll just, we'll go on from there. Just say, this is our decision, we were told that the money went where it was supposed to go, and we're sticking by that, or we're not. I mean, and just get over it.
I told him that a year and a half ago.
Yeah?
I mean, but since I lived there, I get all the,
Yeah, I'm sure you do. Well,
Joe?
Yes, Joe?
If I may, Madam Chair, I also hear from various folks about this item too, so.
You live in Conway also.
Yes. And while the unfortunate piece of it is that it is, I can't speak for Terry, but it is somewhat embarrassing when you're in the grocery store and you're asked, but, you know, I've looked at the documents, I understand what everybody's saying, I understand what both sides are saying. I'm certainly not an attorney. I know from my previous dealings in another life with various agencies of the federal government, they are not going to admit that they may have made a mistake. But I'm certainly not gonna, you know, tell the commissioners what to do, but in my humble opinion, it does look to me like we should give it to Conway. But again, that's just my humble opinion.
Could you show me the facts that you base that on?
Well, after I've read all the documents and talked to both, I've talked with you about this previously, and talked with Lily, it just seems like,
No facts.
Yeah.
Just facts,
yeah,
please.
I understand, but the other side of the coin doesn't have facts either.
Department of Interior says the money went
Yeah,
where
but
it
they won't put that in writing. It's the same thing with Town of Conway saying it's their money.
Yes.
But if you look on the website, on the Department of Interior website, it says that the monies are normally sent to counties. So, I mean,
And the counties,
they receive the money and they can do whatever they want with it.
but not in the state of New Hampshire. But yes, it does say that the county can do as they wish with the money. And we have chosen, this money does not belong to you or I to just go and give away.
Oh,
It
I know.
belongs to 40,000 people in the county.
And I'm
And
not
I am
disagreeing with
sure
that,
if I
Madam
give money away to Conway, I'm going to hear from the people in Moultonborough and Wolfboro and Wakefield and Eaton and Hart's location and, you know, we're gonna hear from all of these people saying, what are you giving our money away to Conway for?
And I'm not disagreeing with that statement, Madam Chairman, but I'm hearing the same argument as the documentation for it.
They owe us $900.
I guess the key to the whole thing is, I think it needs to be resolved one way or the other finally, and I think perhaps Commissioner McCarthy has an answer, and that would be make the decision and issue some sort of final document and put it to bed. That seems to be the issue here. Just my 2 cents, thank you.
I don't know if we can just legally give away money to a particular town.
Yeah, I'm not saying we have to, I'm just saying that we should, if it's our intention of the board not to do that, that we send a formal letter to Conway and say, this is our decision because of this, this, and this. And, you know, it's over and done with, so that, you know, we don't have this back and forth, continue on. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying we have to pay or we don't pay. I'm just saying, we gotta make a decision and send them a formal letter and say, this is our decision. Well,
David, it was your motion.
Well, we all agree that, they said it went to where it's supposed to go. And it went to Conway last year, so I assume that that's the where it's supposed to go. And I'd like to move the question, Madam Chairman.
Except last year, we got more money than we got the year before.
I'd like to move the question, Madam Chairman.
Would you read the motion, please?
Commissioner Babson motioned to pay Conway the pilot payment that we received from the government, seconded by Commissioner McCarthy.
All those in favor say yes.
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 Those opposed, no. And I don't think legally we can do that. I don't think legally we have the right to give money to one town in the county out of the county budget.
Well, then why don't you take us to court?
Can we get,
The rest of the county,
can
well,
we get a legal opinion before we do this?
If that's what the board would like me to do. It's gonna be costly,
Well,
probably more than 12,000. But,
I
do
guess-
what you
no,
guys do.
well, no, that's up to the board.
you two voted to pay it. I do not believe we can. I don't believe we should. And I've been stating that right along. So,
If you have.
Yeah.
and I don't very often take stands unless I'm 100% sure about this.
Not writing the check, because we voted 2-1.
I was just waiting for Damon to finish writing all of that down.
Yeah, all right,
You all ready?
thank you.
David?
Maybe we should include a letter to the town of Conway that says something to the effect that we're paying this because it's dragged out. We cannot guarantee that we're gonna pay it again next year. We're still working on the case and trying to get the Department of Interior to verify that there has been a mistake made since 1999.
The money they're asking for, I believe, is all that they seem to think that they were supposed to have gotten since 1999 till now. If they think they should have gotten more money last year, they're crazy. And the fact that we already gave them $900 that we shouldn't have given them. Yes.
Is that all we're gonna pay? We're not gonna go back to 1940, are we?
No,
They only asked
no,
for-
we're gonna pay $12,000, I believe, something like that.
Well, I hope so, because I think you're opening the floodgates now. Look, this is what it is.
Yes.
Madam Chair, it would seem to me that perhaps some sort of document should go with the check that indicates there is still some confusion. However, the vote of the commissioners was to pay it, and if there is evidence that it should not have been paid, then we're going to expect it returned.
You're right, jeez, bro. They can't even get evidence that we should have paid them.
Well, I think you should also put that, you know, if
The
it
vote-
won't happen again in the future, or whatever, if they, you know, if there's some mistakes made in the future, then that's, we're not.
I do think that something should be included with the check, so that there is, maybe that's not the correct terminology I just mentioned, but,
Is the money you don't deserve?
well, you can do that too, but, I don't know. I don't think the check should just be written. I think there should be some correspondence with it. But that's not up to me.
Okay.
Do you want to take a revote? Because what about, I don't want to say this, but Hales might be looking for their money.
When I asked about Hales, they said you'll have to do a formal application. They told me how to go about doing it. It's the same formal application that Conway followed last year, and that's why they got their money last year. And if we were as selectmen of Hales to go forward and file the formal application, which starts here in the state of New Hampshire and then goes to the Department of Interior, then Hales may or may not be entitled. But because it's not a town, they may or may not be eligible. That's what I was told.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
does that application, does it have to be filled out on a yearly basis, or after so many years, or anything? I was just wondering why Conway went for so long and didn't get money out of it, if it had lapsed. That's what I was curious.
No,
It wasn't filed properly.
I had talked to Tom and I talked to DRA, and they had never, before Lily came, they had just not even paid attention to it. Because it was so little, they just always wrote it off, supposedly, is what I was told. And so, once Lily came, then she started looking at the revenues, well, why aren't we getting this? And then that's when all this started.
And that's when they filled out the paper properly last year, and that's when
Right.
they started to get the
Exactly.
money.
Yep.
David?
My guess is neither of those answers. Back until Ed started filming these meetings, the commissioners' meetings were nothing more than a secret meeting downstairs with the door closed, and Conway probably didn't even know that they were supposed to get any money. And I'm sure that the commissioners didn't pick up the phone and say, hey, you know, you got money coming, why are you after it? I think that the word never got out until Lily came and started looking at it, or they started listening to it.
That's what I said, but I don't think they watched it.
No, there wasn't any videos. Back, Ed's only been doing it for 5 years.
Well, I think you were the first one to start
Filming.
filming the commissioner.
But it doesn't, they had to fill out the paperwork. Each town in the state of New Hampshire that wants money from the Department of Interior has to fill out an initial application and give it to, I guess it goes to DRA, doesn't it, Ken?
Yes.
And then DRA sends it down to the Department of Interior. So, you can't, yeah.
So that's different. They didn't fill out the proper forms.
That's why it's, may take another vote.
I like being on the winning side once in a while.
Well, you have to be on the winning side to say whether or not you want to take a revote. All right, I guess that's, yes, Ms.
Personally, I
Chair.
am absolutely, I'm torn about the whole thing. I just, you know, I don't know.
Well, you can look at it this way, it's $12,000, or it's the principal.
Thanks, Amanda.
Sorry.
That made it a lot easier.
But we're elected by all 40,000 people in the county. Actually, it's more now, I think.
That's if they voted for you. Are we going to move on now?
Well, I'm waiting, I'm hearing a humming over here, and I'm just waiting for her. I don't want to shut her down, but I think,
Somebody shut me down. make
I
me
think the
decision
vote
for me.
was made, and, you know, there you go. We live with it, unfortunately. Do either of you have any more commissioner updates?
I don't.
All right, then there is one that I came in and I asked the auditors why or how we could do as the delegation and Mr. Allen had suggested about getting all of this so we could get the audit done and the books closed and everything in timely manner. And Ken came up, or Ken was there, and we had a small discussion, and their result was they were going to take it to Cheryl Burke, who is the head auditor,
Right.
I guess. So you want to tell them what she had to say? We have a letter that gets in.
Sure. You should have a letter right down in front of you. Can't find mine right now, but. Thank you. So, in order for our audit to be completed, we have to have the GASB 75 report, which is the report for the New Hampshire retirement report that shows how much outstanding debt we owe, and we included that this year. The commission wrote the bid, and we sent it off, and I got an email this morning or yesterday that we should have it completed this week. So we can send that to the auditors, because they can't wrap up our financial audit until that audit is completed and they have it in their hands, because that is part of our audit as well. And if you look in our financial statements, that's in the back. It's like 12 pages of stuff I don't even understand.
When did we give out that?
November.
I was gonna say, that was a long time ago.
Yep. But you know, they couldn't do it until we closed 18, so. So they're wrapping it up. And apparently there's more, there's been a few GASB regulations that have come out, 68 and 75, which contribute to the increase in time to complete financial statements in according to GAAP principles. Because you have to rely on external parties, you know, most government audits report completions are falling in the 5 to 7 month after year-end range. So no matter what we do, we can't do the 90 days. And so, you know, it's not up to us, it's up to the outside entities that provide some of our documentation and provide our audit. So she gave us a little synopsis of the 5 counties that she currently has, the ones that are on a year-end basis. She has 3 of them, and 2 just recently received their 75 reports. We're going to receive ours this week, and so none of them currently are done. The ones that have a that end June 30th, and their reports normally are issued in October, so that's you know, that's still more time than the 90 days. She says it's impossible for them to get the audit done within 3 months of the end of the year. So, I mean, I don't know what else to do except tell you that it'll be done when we get it, and it's almost done.
Did you send a copy of that to the delegation?
I haven't. I always give it to you guys first before it goes anywhere else.
I think,
If you want me to send it, I
I
can.
don't see any harm in sending it to the chairman of the delegation and let her do what she wants with it.
right, because I mean, that's where
Okay.
the questions were coming from.
Can I get a copy of that?
Oh, sure, yeah, here you go, sorry. I had one here, but I think it's one of this.
No, that's what, we talked about that 2 weeks ago, and I promised you I'd get it to you, and I just got it to you today, so I think you'll need some time to digest it a little bit. They're not gonna do anything until next year. So that's
Is this the Bevard County thing?
yeah, Belknap County's small and beginner farmer contract for the hay. And,
Oh, that's right, that's what it was, new farmers in the hay.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and I just got you that copy this morning, I'm a little late. Okay. So we got the roof rack, we got the raised beds, Siemens, job search. And you're gonna get us a copy of the policy, so we can have them upstairs.
Pardon me?
I asked
Oh, yeah,
Ken if he could get a copy of the policy, so we could have them upstairs.
Oh, yeah.
So when you ask me a question, I don't have to go rifling through my desk to find it. We'll have a book and we can just look in it.
I also spoke with, I ran into the Rockingham County HR director on Thursday night, so I asked her for a couple policies. And when I didn't get it yesterday, I reminded her yesterday. So I still haven't got it yet. I'm not sure why I'm not getting it, but maybe she'll get it to me on Friday, I'm not sure.
All right. And the other thing I had on my list, and this was left over from last week, I guess, or maybe the week before, was a policy on, a county policy on transfers, so that we'd have the same paperwork and it would be clean and it would be, have some backup with it, so that when we agreed to it, it went on to the delegation, it could take that backup with it, and it
Okay.
wouldn't be a whole, and we talked about some policies for that, and I did not do anything on it, and I don't expect anyone else did, because you're both looking kind of blank. So, if you could kind of see if there's any around or anything like
I
that.
can put something together if you want,
Yeah.
and then we can work on it.
Right, and apparently, from what I understand, talking to our senator, the bill to change that is going out for study this summer, so we're going to have the same policy, the same RSA for transfers this year anyways, maybe some other time different, so that doesn't change. And I think that's probably everything. Is there anything else? We got the gas, we got this. Dave, do you have anything else? Nothing? You're all set?
So, Amanda, you want the rocks for the roof just right out back where the trail is gonna be?
Well, actually, the trails, well, they're gone, the map's gone, but the trails are all over. So if you put them maybe out where the loom is stockpiled.
Oh, what way out there?
By the pond,
Okay.
you know, across the street.
Yep.
That way they won't be in the way, and
Okay.
if we only use half of them on the handicap trail, or, you know, I have no idea how many yards of rocks are up there.
quite a few.
It's
Mason's,
probably a foot deep, isn't
I don't know, Mason was here yesterday on his day off, and he brought his drone with him, so.
Beautiful pictures.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
So he took a video of the roof, and, so I don't know how, it's not that thick, but,
You can't tell from the
Yeah, I can't
picture
tell.
how thick they are.
but there's a lot of it up there, I can tell you that.
it? So that's what they want to use those, and I'm sure, we would just have to turn around and purchase it. So. All right, I think if everybody all set? Yep. We have no tabled items, right? Media questions.
All right, so for the beds, for the plantings or whatever they are.
Raised beds.
So yesterday, or the other day, didn't Drew promise that, he's gonna have the kids over and they're gonna do that? And he told the delegation that was a done deal. But now it sounds like it's not.
It is, in that he's got everything ready to put the plan together, but he didn't want to take all that time until he had the backing
Okay.
of the commissioners.
All right,
So but
so you'll have it done by the time it needs to be done. Okay.
is that all?
Yeah.
You are mentioning in your column about the farm survey, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's at the end, it might get cut, but who knows?
No. Anything else? All right, now we can go to non-public. David, you want to read us into non-public?
Can we cancel number 1?
Yep,
They're gonna come May 22nd.
okay. David, you get that?
Yes. Cancel number 1.
Yeah.
Madam Chairman, the county attorney has been sitting here very patiently. Do you
Yep.
want to take hers up first? Do you want me to do all of them or what?
Is that in non-public?
She is.
Madam County Attorney? Yeah. You wish to speak with the commissioners? Do you wish to do it in non-public?
Yes, I think that would be wise, thank you.
So you want me to read just that one first and we'll do it, or do you want me to read all? both
Read them
of
all and then we'll do hers
Okay.
first. Okay.
I'll make a motion, we go into non-public session, 91A, 91-A:3, parentheses, small e, consideration of pending litigation which has been threatened in writing against the public body or any subdivision thereof until the claim has been fully adjudicated or otherwise set. That's session, I guess that'll be session 1, because 1 was canceled. And session 2 will be on RSA 91-A:3, comma, Roman 2, parentheses, small b, the hiring of any person as a public employee.
Roll call, please. Oh,
What about her?
What?
what about Michaela's?
I don't know, isn't she number 1 or number 2? We just
No,
can't.
she never contacted me for anything.
She just said it was non-public.
Yes, I know.
But it's not on the
I'm
schedule.
just looking to see which one it would be under. I don't know. Well, it's the cameras. We got them in writing that request, and I think that comes under security. RSA 91A:3, Roman numeral 2G. Consideration of security-related issues bearing on the immediate safety of security personnel.
That's
So
at the
that's
jail.
the jail,
No,
but
I can't do that.
it's the same thing as security. Is there another one here for security?
No?
I like maybe 91A3 to J, consideration of confidential, commercial, or
Financial
financial
information?
information that's exempt from public disclosure. Must be one here. Well, I guess we can make it fit under RSA 91A3 2C. Matters which if discussed in public would likely affect adversely. Well, it's not so much, well, maybe.
How's that? They're taking the camera down, how's that?
I actually don't know if it needs to be non-public. There, the issue with the camera.
All right, why don't you come up and we'll do,
Thank you.
finish up. We'll just stick in here that we did a little
No.
public thing.
Yeah, but it's not public.
So we didn't quite go in there, so we can do it, yes. Hi, you want your camera, read? Put that in writing, you can get the email about the camera. Any comments, objections, whatever? No?
I'll make a motion
Yeah.
that the camera be removed for the county attorney's request.
I'll second that. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Wait a minute.
Oh,
Yes, I got Michaela's email. And didn't Bob Murray have an objection?
no, he said that it was up to the commissioners, and
Oh,
that
that's
policy
right,
that
that's
we
right.
signed said that if the commissioners said it was okay, then he would remove it.
That's right. Okay. I knew he said something, but I couldn't remember.
All those in favor of having the camera removed?
Aye.
Aye. All right.
Yes.
I think there was a question on a reimbursement. Do you want to do that?
Oh,
So that's my question, because when does the document become public according to this account? Because my understanding is when a request for reimbursement is paid, it becomes public, but the application for the reimbursement is not public.
that RSA, what was the RSA? It was on the original agenda, but it's not on this one. You remember what that
I
was?
don't know what you're talking about.
It was RSA 23 something. 23-7?
So they can send out an email saying that.
Right.
Right.
Ken, do you remember, it was on the original agenda? No wonder I couldn't. It was, I think it was RSA 27, reimbursement versus compensation.
Yeah.
That was on the original agenda, but it's not on this one. Has that been taken care of?
No? No, it's on the agenda, I just sent it to you guys for, no, that was 23.
23,
Yeah.
7?
23, 14 or something, 23, 14, 23.
Yeah, I had told the delegation back then that they can't do that.
And the delegation said that you can because it's reimbursement.
Right. And as long as...
It's not reimbursement. If you're getting $100 a month for your vehicle expense,
Reimbursement, just like the telephone bill for $43.
You
The
got
bills
some-
have been-
sorry,
As long as she has to give us backup
you
information.
have to have an invoice. So how do you get $100 worth a month if you don't have your backup?
I did.
Well, if it's like mine,
been provided
probably
to
it would be...
Mileage, 58 cents a mile?
It's not the mileage, it's
Insurance, my insurance.
Insurance, vehicle maintenance, that's been provided.
That is not, you're violating the RSA, Michaela. I'm telling you right now, you are. You wanna do it, go
I'm
ahead.
actually
I don't
gonna
care.
leave.
Well,
I
first
think
is,
it's very inappropriate.
What I would-
for the county
what I would-
to be accused of violating the law. I don't even think he understands to
okay.
determine whether or not I violated the law, but to me, that's an ethical issue. And I don't think that this is what the county policy says, this is how we treat people.
Do you have any objections to giving?
We're being treated like this.
Can we stop it, please? Grow up. Now,
I just smiled.
Michaela, please.
You
Please.
laugh and you shake your head and it's over and over. It's not just me, it's a lot of people and I'm
Yeah,
just
okay.
tired of
It's a lot
it.
of people, yeah.
Michaela, I want to talk to you about backup for the reimbursement.
I've already submitted it to the treasurer.
All right, and as long as that meets his requirement, I think we should be fine. I know that the nursing home for clothing allowance, when they buy something new, they give us the receipt.
And we did too. I haven't
Okay.
purchased anything on mine. Steve purchased something on his, he gave the receipts.
Okay.
It's all done.
Now, I understand that the delegation gave you so much a month. Was that what it was, or
Well,
was
it's
it an
$1,200 for
annual
the
thing?
year.
Okay, as long as it's $1,200 for the year. Now, with the car, they gave a $100
Oh,
per
I'm
month?
sorry. No, I'm sorry, I misspoke. It was $500 a year for the uniform. It's $1,200 for the year for the car, with the understanding that it would be at $100 a month so that we wouldn't do the mileage reimbursement anymore, coming out of the
Okay,
general
but your
travel policy.
expenses,
Have
Yeah.
to be more than $100 a month, which they are.
okay, now, for example, if I'm right, if you drive your car 10% of the time for the county, and 10% of each of your expenses, like insurance and repairs or whatever, could be put towards receipts to back up that information. That's the
Nobody
way I
talked
do.
about the percentage, just like we get the cell phone allowance that is $43, it's just the amount. As I indicated from the beginning, I'm happy to take a county vehicle instead, but I am not gonna drive here from Wolfboro
Right,
to
exactly.
go to my meetings, which are generally in Concord, or they're first thing in the morning in Conway. So I'm happy to have a vehicle assigned to the county attorney. If that is an alternative, I'm totally fine with that.
Well, I think using your vehicle is perfectly acceptable, and the delegation seemed to be accepting of
Right.
that. It's just that we need, in order for it to be a reimbursement, we need some sort of paperwork to show the backup for it.
And
It's
I
like,
submitted that.
now, when you use your cell phone, how do you back that up?
I don't anymore. The first month I submitted a bill to show that I have my cell phone bill that I pay every month, and after that, it's just automatically put on.
All right, so possibly I would think that would work for the car too, if you just showed us a basic monthly thing, and then when the delegation approved it by the month, that would be sufficient, because that would be the same, there's already a precedent set for the phone,
Right.
and then you could do the same thing for the car. The clothes, I do think, though, you have to have
Absolutely.
the receipt for those like they do at the nursing home.
Absolutely.
Because that's a policy we've got over there.
And
I'll have Joe check with the auditors, but I'm pretty sure that that should be sufficient where it's already set up and approved for the phone reimbursement, that would work for your car with the delegation has approved the $100. Do either of you have a comment about that?
No, I think that sounds fine. As long
Okay.
as you.
Thank
Is
you.
that all right with you?
Yep.
Very good. Thank you. So now we're going into non-public, and we can go back, David, to the session 1 and session 2 that you read into. And I think we're at the point now of 9.8 and That RSA, what was the RSA? It was on the original agenda, but it's not on this one. You remember what that
I
was?
don't know what she's talking about.
There was RSA 23 something. 23.7?
Ken sent out an email saying that.
Right, right. Ken, do you remember, it was on the original agenda? Yeah, no wonder I couldn't. It was, I think it was RSA 27, reimbursement versus compensation.
Yeah.
That was on the original agenda, but it's not on this one. Has that been taken care of?
No? No, it's on the agenda, I just sent it to you guys for, no, that was 23.
23,
Yeah.
7?
23, 14 or something, 23, 14, 22.
Yeah, I had told the delegation back then that they can't do that.
And the delegation said that you can because it's reimbursement.
Right. And as long as...
It's not reimbursement. If you're getting $100 a month for your
It's
vehicle expense,
reimbursement, just like the telephone bill for $43.
You
The
got
bills
to-
have been-
sorry,
As long as she has to give us backup
you
information.
have to have an invoice. So how do you get $100 worth a month if you don't have your backup?
I did.
Well, if it's like mine,
been provided
probably it would be
Mileage, 58 cents a mile?
It's not the mileage, it's.
insurance, my
It's
insurance.
insurance, vehicle maintenance, that's been provided.
That is not, you're violating the RSA, Michaela. I'm telling you right now, you are.
No.
You want to do it, go
I'm
ahead.
actually,
I
I'm
don't care.
actually a lead.
Well,
I
first
think it's very inappropriate.
What I would-
for the county
what I
administrator
would-
to be violating the law. I don't even think he understands the law, so I'll say that to
Okay.
determine whether or not I violated the law, but to me, that's an ethical issue. And I don't think that this is what the county policy says, this is how we treat people.
Do you have any objections to giving?
Being treated like this.
Can we stop it, please? Grow up. Now,
I
Michaela,
just smiled.
Michaela, please.
You
Please.
laugh and you shake your head and it's over and over. It's not just me, it's a lot of people and I'm
Yeah,
just
okay.
tired of
It's a lot
it.
of people, yeah.
Michaela, I want to talk to you about backup for the reimbursement.
I've already submitted it to the treasurer.
All right, and
Thank
as
you.
long as that meets his requirement, I think we should be fine. I know that the nursing home for clothing allowance, when they buy something new, they give us the receipt.
And we did too. I haven't
Okay.
purchased anything on mine. Steve purchased something on his, he gave the receipts.
Okay.
It's all done.
Now, I understand that the delegation gave you so much a month. Was that what it was, or
Well,
was
it's
it an
$1,200 for the
annual
year.
thing? Okay, as long as it's $1,200 for the year. Now, with the car, they gave a $100
Oh,
per
I'm
month.
sorry. No, I'm sorry, I misspoke. It was $500 a year for the uniform. It's $1,200 for the year for the car, with the understanding that it would be at $100 a month so that we wouldn't do the mileage reimbursement anymore, coming out of the
Okay,
general
but your
travel policy.
expenses,
Have to
Yeah.
be more than $100 a month, which they are.
okay, now, for example, if I'm right, if you drive your car 10% of the time for the county, then 10% of each of your expenses, like insurance and repairs or whatever, could be put towards receipts to back up that information. That's the way
Nobody
I
talked
do-
about the percentage, just like we get the cell phone allowance that is $43, it's just the amount. As I indicated from the beginning, I'm happy to take a county vehicle instead, but I am not going to drive here from Wolfboro
Right,
to
exactly.
go to my meetings, which are generally in Concord, or they're first thing in the morning in Conway. So I'm happy to have a vehicle assigned to the county attorney. If that is an alternative, I'm totally fine with that.
Well, I think using your vehicle is perfectly acceptable, and the delegation seem to be accepting of that. It's just that we need, in order for it to be a reimbursement, we need some sort of paperwork to show the backup for it.
And I
It's like,
submitted that.
now, when you use your cell phone, how do you back that up?
I don't anymore. The first month, I submitted a bill to show that I have my cell phone bill that I pay every month, and after that, it's just automatically put on.
possibly, I would think that would work for the car too, if you just showed us a basic monthly thing, and then when the delegation approved it by the month, that would be sufficient, because that would be the same, there's already precedent set for the phone,
Right.
and then you could do the same thing for the car. The clothes, I do think, though, you have to have the receipt for those like they do at the nursing home.
Absolutely.
Because that's a policy we've got over there. I'll have Joe check with the auditors, but I'm pretty sure that that should be sufficient where it's already set up and approved for the phone reimbursement, that would work for your car with the delegation has approved the $100. Do either of you have a comment about that?
I think that sounds fine.
Okay.
Thank
Is
you.
that all right with you?
Yep.
Very good. Thank you. So now we're in to going into non-public, and we can go back, David, to the session 1 and session 2 that you read.